complete form together. Ginnivan back into the side. Of course, Nick Watson has been okay in quarters, hasn't played a full four-quarter game yet. Ward, Dylan Moore, who I absolutely love his work rate, his connection, what he does for the Hawks, has been down on his All-Australian level. So there's a group of players here who fall to the ball for the Hawks that need to start getting the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're a pressure forward, small forward brigade that kicks goals. Now, Hawthorn are the third best pressure side in the competition. I always think when you come up against one of the best pressure teams in the comp, you've got to bring that pressure and try and match it, if not outwork them. Now, they had a wonderful result last week, Eagles against Essendon. Their turnover return was their best for the year in plus 11 points. So look for there to be lots of pressure and heat on early. That's ultimately what you want to see a travelling side do.
One of their only 2 quarters where they've been in front last week against Essendon. The other was against Brisbane. So a couple of times they've been good starters. Ali Reid, of course, pivotal to most of what the West Coast are hoping to do into the future. Up against Warple, there's Tom Barris heading back into defence. Josh Battle is in the goal square against Liam Ryan. He's up against Williams, who kicked 3 goals last week and starting to get the feel for things. Here's young Jack Williams. So we're set to go, the final game of round 7. The Anzac Appeal round comes to its conclusion at Marvel Stadium. Hawthorn itching to get back into it and try and get back on the winners list. A place West Coast have yet to be. It's a straight, not particularly high bounce. And Harley Reid is able to escape with the footy. What can he do with it? Misplaced hand pass, or well controlled at the very least, out of the middle, and that allows Newcomb to glide onto the footy, and he works with Meek. So they get away from Hutchison. Long kick towards full forward. McGovern's in front. Worked under it by Gunston. Was it a push? Yes.
HTS West Coast Eagles, that first set of bounce. Hutchison with the fumbles. Get an opportunity. Heat's on in the game. You've got to be clean.
Marek was relatively clean. Out wide for Graham. High ball up to the wing, and they've got a little bit of time, not a lot, from Williams. And now Meek uses that bulk and heft to try and get through. Weddle jarred away from Battle and really just passing the pressure around at the moment. It seemed like it was going to go out of bounds, and now has on the full. So it'll be a Hawthorn ball.
They'll be looking to block the corridor here, the West Coast Eagles. A lot of one-on-one footy happening. Can't allow this to happen. Could spoil.
And Hutchison back through the middle. Duggan's kick is not anywhere near his target in Waterman.
It's probably because Waterman led to his left leg. So he expected it to go out wide towards the pocket, and he straightened it up.
Warple returns from his injury over the last couple of weeks, and he's looked pretty good, and he shows it there. Angles the kick into Morrison, keeps on coming. Kick goes back through the middle to Impey. He hasn't quite had the same impact this year, and I guess there is a flow on from 2 big defensive inclusions. D'Ambrosio's copped a bit more attention to on the wing. This is Battle. This looks good for Hawthorn. There was holes everywhere, to be honest, and Hardwick takes the mark. Six goals, 5 in 6 games, almost every game. He has had to go back at some stage to enable Sicily to go forward. 1 goal, 2 last week. He's normally a beautiful kick for goal, but he's kicked 2-5 across the last 3 games. And we saw it was a major issue for Hawthorn last week for most of the game as they fell short against the Cats. Blake Hardwick to set the scene for Hawthorn. It didn't look absolutely pure off the boot. It's worked its way back, but not enough. They got excited behind the goals there.
Hit the goalpost.
He mumbles a word or 2 in French. Or something like that. On the way out, McGovern. It's a place kick for Cripps, but he was surrounded by Hawks. Sicily sees it over it out. Oh, we get out of James Sicily and his boots this afternoon.
He just wants to be clean today, James Sicily. Especially in the air, I think, is the number one. He's got to get that part of his game right so he doesn't then put himself under pressure.
Morrison feeding it back. Aspate's kick to full forward, and Duggan is the thorn on their side this time. Now, where to? And well back off the mark. Straight back out to that City wing. Sicily got a little nudge underneath it. Play on was the call. Waterman was the man doing the nudging, and now they're all over Meek. Sam Mitchell and Andrew McGualter had a friendly walk along the Torrens during gather round, just accidentally. They both said. Would have been no mention of possible recruits from one club to the other, I'm sure.
Well, they certainly weren't giving anything away during the week in their press conferences, that's for sure.
Something's either amusing or bemusing Sam at this stage. Andrew McGualter still searching for a win as the coach of the West Coast Eagles. A little bit of forward territory here. Warple off was pursuing and eventually goes back over the line and out of bounds.
I think they'll be okay with this, the West Coast Eagles. At least they get to set things up well behind the ground, communicate, and make sure that they're structurally sound if Hawthorn do find their way at the front of stoppage.
They had produced the odd surprise win over the years, but last year they were the only team without a win in Victoria, losing all 6 games. Ali Reid goes tumbling in.
That's a great thing about having Harley backing around the ball. They tried him off half-back where the game was in front of him, but I like him around the footy.
It's been roughly 50-50 over the whole season so far. Newcomb again. Didn't have a lot of time to think about where the kick was going to go. Well contained by Alan. Charles turns tackler.
That's a good contest. Good work by Alan to just push himself forward first, take the initiative.
And former Tiger teammates there. Hunt gets it through to Flynn, who had a career-high 19 disposals last week. Graham, the ex-Tiger, to full forward. Williams is behind. Weddle now. They can go to work. Striding out Impey. What an aggressive line. The quickest possible way home. Ginnivan returning. Plays it wide to one of his running mates, and it's Moore. And on the end of it, guess who? Watson takes the mark. So Ginnivan, Moore, and Watson.
There we go.
A terrible trio.
That's good, they need to.
Or terrific trio, depending on the way you're looking at it. It's a little bit of an up and down season, hasn't he, Nick Watson?
He's had good quarters.
He has.
And he's had some big moments in games. Don't worry about that. Just like a consistent 4-quarter performance from him today.
8 goals, 5 in his 6 games. 2-2 from 13 disposals last week, and he begins with a wonky kick, which is barely going to make the distance. In fact, it doesn't.
Just kicked the ground a little bit there on his follow-through.
Govan. Barely the required, but deemed enough for Baker. Eyes scouring left and right. As the Eagles prize recruit looks to get all the way to Jack Williams. He had a good vantage point to jump up and mark. Flynn now has to fight the ground level. Never easy for a big ruckman. Davis was in there as well. There was more that got the handball out. Still just bubbles around. Harley Reid. Oh, what about that for an attack? Watson magnificent. He had him in his sights. And Whitey relished that. A couple of young tyros.
First was a great step by Harley Reid there to through Walpole, but then the chase down was excellent.
Kick is very wide. Gunston under duress from Hunt, and neither of the umpires who had a call inclined to blow the whistle.
It's nice work by Watson. Let him know about it as well.
Sweet nothings. Flynn straight down to Ward. Didn't want to rush the kick, but in the end he's played it straight back to Hunt, who's golfed in the tackle from Morrison. Amon got it through. Connor McDonald to the outside. Warple, well set. Should goal, doesn't. And their form from last week, in terms of in front of the big sticks, hasn't improved.
Yeah, in last week, the numbers read pretty similar right across the board. It was just their ability not to be able to take the big moments. So you don't want to give them an opportunity here by missing a couple early on in the game.
Eric has been good since he's gone to the back half this year. Back to Cole. Turned again to Ryan Barrick, who's on the way out this time through Hunt.
That's a beautiful kick. That had to be.
They found a good position for him. He can use his skills. Cam is more at the forward mid, but different at this level, of course. Off the hands, Cripps threatens and still threatens. Fed the handball back to Reid and then to Hoff. Sicily beats into the footy, but Hewitt to Waterman. Cripps keeps on coming. He's a dangerous user of the footy. Did Jack Williams get infringed by Battle? No, he didn't.
It's a good build-up, Hawk, wasn't it? Forward handballs, being able, not going back and retreating and getting caught on the heels. Just keep pushing that ball forward by hand. Finally, they found the overlap player.
Deals were made for the free kick, but turned down so far. So no goals in this game. Meek taps it down with the softest that drops underneath him, Warple, and then the follow-up. Warple again to Moore, to Hardwick. Left half back, they're outnumbered here. The big ruckman Flynn decides to try and mark. Just can't quite.
So they'll be happy with that. They didn't get scored from a defensive stoppage to Hawk on that occasion. I know that's been a focus for them the entire year. Still didn't look great, but they are still able to exit and now get a stoppage on centre wing.
9 minutes without a goal. All is quiet. Meek, Hewitt, who was stellar in the second half last week, a couple of goals and looked every inch at quality midfielder. Off half back, Impey, McKenzie knew it was coming. Again, could have been a free kick for in the back. Goes on whistle. Impey again gets it out. Huswaite waiting for the right moment to try and leverage the overlap they had. It was all a bit mixed and confusing, and Warple just scrapes through, passes over the problem to Meek. You got to kick out. Hit him from both angles, playing the call. Feeding it through the middle. Hoff, the new role today. Spinning Graham, who had a bit of grunt. And as he dived on the footy, that's what the Hawthorn eyes said, and the umpire agrees.
Definitely the midfield, six disposals already for the West Coast Eagles.
Aim on again. Comfortable kick. Meek continues to be a target on the way forward. Morrison into the 50. Gunston.
We know he's got great craft, Jack Gunston as a forward, and it's on show. And we saw it earlier on when Nick Watson took a mark inside forward 50, his ability to be able to understand that Watson was in a better position and take his opponent, Jeremy McGovern, out. But that was beautiful timing. He was back to his best last week. Albeit a couple of missed shots at goal, he was outstanding.
13 goals, 4 for the season. That's much more work for Jack Gunston, we know. He corrected things as he went last week. And that's a pure shot for goal. And Jack Gunston, who is closing on 500 goals. That's gone to 495. Hawks have their first.
It's good. It was a great build-up. It was well called as well. Hawk, in terms of him just controlling the space, you can see that he really held on his lead, knowing that it was going to open up for him. So kicked 6 2 weeks ago. He's been good in the losses, Gunston. He'd love to
9-1 in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, play a big role in a big victory today.
Well, he kicked 6 versus West Coast in his stint at Brisbane in 2023, and that's all he needs.
I always forget he had that stint at Brisbane.
But, yeah, mate, it didn't quite pan out the way he would have liked for a variety of reasons, but he's happy to be back at Hawthorn. Charles had one of his best games of the season last week. He's taking his turn in the ruck and wins himself a free. The Hawks are pressing again. Weddle, you'll find him everywhere. Takes the mark, gives Baker one to go on with. He loves the cut and thrust of AFL footy.
He certainly does. He loves the argy-bargy about it too, but he's so versatile. I love these younger players that come in. He sort of sits at 191. He can play key position, defence, he can sneak forward, play at midfield.
Yep. His 49th game. I have to believe he's only 20 years of age, but he's going to be a forward. Tom, I mean, you've never missed shots like that. And you were a really versatile player too, all the different positions you played.
Forward pocket and full forward, yeah. You're right, Hutto.
Absolute superstar Tom Hawkins with us today with Brad Johnson. Also superstar.
Thanks,
Probably a little biased though, John. Hard yards on the way out for West Coast. Cole tries to tidy things up. There was a pretty messy room out there for the Eagles. Avon receives, sends it back in. Gunston again to his own liking, happy to feed. Ginnivan needs a bit of confidence. And what better than a goal? Back to the VFL, kick 4, come back in, and hit the scoreboard.
He has. It was a beautiful finish. I've liked Jack Ginnivan. I watched a bit of his game last week, and the thing that was so impressive was not only the goals, but his assists, his pressure in the forward 50. But early on, we've already seen him up the ground, impacting the game and being a real connector because he's such a good ball user. He's such a good finisher, as we've just seen. And loves a celebration, as we're about to see. Not sure what book playbook that comes from.
I'm not getting dropped anymore. I don't know, but it was a good turnover by the Hawks on centre wing, and that's where they're able to outnumber forward of the ball.
Already 5 scores to 0. Things are starting to feel a little dangerous if you're an Eagles fan. Good forward handle from Hutchison again on the lead, jumping out. Garris just protected the ball, got the Sicily at outstep. Charging Duggan, had momentum, didn't get overexcited, just played it for Waterman. It was nicely done.
It was good. Sicily with the kick out of defence, but he had to sort of rush it, so he wasn't able to execute a drop punt. Floated, just had a little bit too much on it where Duggan was able to fly in. So he changed his mind late, saw his teammate, just overcooked it.
4 goals in the first quarter last week. It's an astonishing start. Could we see something similar? He's put it through.
It's quite obvious, Tom, they're going with a forward handball game today, the West Coast Eagles. Out of clearance, out of stoppage. Centre bounce then, they're still trying to get that one forward of the play. Gave him an inside 50. Hawthorn looked they were cleaning it up nicely with the way they were set up, but well up to Liam Duggan, who was able to compress up and create the interception.
Yeah, they're usually a long kick side, Jono, when they then are playing in general play. And we've seen a couple of times already them be able to possess the ball down in their back half. They're not afraid to kick to the contest on the wing, and from there they're looking to surge and get the ball over the top and test this Hawthorn defence.
He was amazing early last week, and even though he didn't add to those 4 goals, he was still the second highest rated player on the ground, as they fell just short against the Bombers. 53 goals last year, of course. Free kick advantage taken immediately by Moore, and he's put it in the channel of the leaders. Here's Hardwick, back to Charles, skips back outside the 50. Ambrosio off the right boot. Moore, Ward. Child again. On the bounce for Watson, skips past him. Carried out of there from Duggan, but 3 Hawks to work out who was going to take it. Impey into Ward. Huswaite had to earn his chance, and his hopes of staying in the team, no damage at all, as Connor McDonald was on the end.
Really clever ball use by the young fella then. Didn't blaze away, could have easily kicked long and high to the top of the square, but was able to lower his eyes. West Coast had a lot of numbers back inside forward 50, or D50 for them. So that was really, really smart play.
Only 8 disposals last week, but 4 came in that final term, including a crucial goal. Connor McDonald on return. 6th in the best and fairest last year. He joins the list of Hawks that might find the target in this opening quarter. Who's going to make the right move for Jeremy McGovern? Time expires, so he goes as long and as wide as he can. Weddle, nice pass from Josh Weddle. Back through the middle, Ward, the next point of call. Overwhelmed with Hawthorn players with their hands not wanting the footy forward, but turns them all down collectively, and they're going to go around. Back out to the city side. MP, and now Huswaite again. He showed his good footwork a moment ago. It's a handball this time to Battle, who can give it a mighty thump down towards Watson and Chol. Watson stays down. Chol went for the ride, didn't quite get it right. One coming from either side.
It was a good jump by Chol. Like the start of his game so far, he's engaged in the contest. He's picked up a number of disposals.
He was much more in tune last week too, wasn't he, than what we'd seen for a few weeks. I think Watson was set to fly there. I think just quite get the access on the runway. Duggan comes out towards the stock side. Well, almost repeats the dose. Well done from Waterman in the end. And Hunter now, they're going to get it down the line by Davis. Sicily always had that one under control. Focus at the front was Ryan to battle, and they've got to make the switch. It was well telegraphed, but they had the way to get there in the means. D'Ambrosio to Moore. Collects it calmly, put a little move on, stretched away from Hutchinson, and then back across to halfback. Through Battle and Sicily, they're just toying with him a little, but watch out, Liam Ryan doesn't like that treatment, and the impact may have seemed small. It means the kick falls into the hands of an Eagle in flip.
Just all stationary though, forward of the ball, the West Coast Eagles. They create a big turnover and there's no spread whatsoever. It's just too easy for Hawthorn to set up with their gun players.
Coached back by Battle to McKenzie. He turned right. Hewitt couldn't tame him either. To full forward. Nick, too easy for the Hawks.
Yeah, that's their 6th mark inside forward 50th for the quarter, which is quite astonishing. But they're doing that with the way they move the ball, Jono. They keep on changing angles. They're happy to open up a bit of space by just taking on the man on the mark ahead and taking his space. There was young McKenzie. Beautiful option to the ruckman in Lloyd Meek drifting forward. It was a beautiful piece of play.
He's been a revelation over the last couple of years. He's been adding pieces to his game, including goal kicking, but occasionally you can take it away as well. He was, until that moment, pretty pure in front of the sticks, 5 goals straight. Mitch doesn't like their kicking a goal. Everything else is going pretty well. Marriage is having a wander. Kimby, he can have a bounce. Confident enough to do so. Being told by McDonald, got a handball through to Hoff, and then back to Davis. Jimmy kept on powering, and Hoff as well. Great collaboration. Hutchinson with the power running. Hewitt received it. Couldn't quite get it back, but Ryan can still get it. The perfect finish. It deserved better.
It did. They worked it out on the run there, the West Coast Eagles, but in the end, the forward handball nearly worked nicely for them. Unfortunately, Liam Ryan just couldn't finish what would have been an excellent passage of play.
I guess you look at it as traces of what they're trying to do. And one takes off. Goes to a one-on-one, which is interesting in itself. Battle. Double bouncer off him. Again comes charging through. Hop kick in front of Ryan. He's moving so much better. Last week just couldn't quite get his accuracy in front of the sticks either. Pokes it into the pocket. Out comes Reed. Didn't take it in the first, and that allows Will to buck it out.
Opportunity again. He knows he's missed an opportunity there, Reed.
Ali just the one disposal in the first quarter. He's haven't quite gone his way this year so far. Hawthorn lead by 11. Eagles attacking. Hutchinson off the turf. Weddle. McGovern puts into gear. He could mark like that with his eyes closed. Locking another intercept mark. Back through the middle he goes. Duggan with just about everyone else in front of him. Can he pinpoint, or at least give them a chance for some good body work? Kept away from Reed. Hunt runs into a double tackle.
West Coast players asking for a high tackle for their teammate there. Not called by the ump.
Reed against Meek. Has a couple of goes at a clever tap. Davis hunting the footy.
Sam Mitchell talked earlier on pre-game about how they can improve this part of the game. Now, one way they can do it, Jono, is to send just about all their numbers in. They're plus two.
It's touched. So Waterman. Mark won't be paid. He's with Morrison. Husway. Along his knees. Ryan appealing. The ball just smouldering around, and then Ryan handballs it out in hope more than anything. He's trying to get a run. Hutchinson likewise. Smothers galore. Clean disposal. Changes everything. Well, the Hawks have taken off.
You can convict him towards goal.
He must not have quite been aware of the colour of the jumpers of the two players nearby.
I think he was thinking maybe Weddle was going to take a bounce and keep going.
Which is quite capable of.
It is.
So I guess you could understand the thinking. McGovern, his 6th disposal.
Or they're meant to use it short coming out of defence. That one, a little hit up into the corridor, and then the forward has bursted towards goal.
McGovern gives it a mighty thud. Down to Flynn. Watch out. D'Ambrosio
got to be a block there from Waterman. He's just got to get himself in between Owies and the Hawthorn opponent who's creating the run down, tackling down. Brozier, get a body in there. Give Owies a chance to have a shot at goal.
Just the 3 goals, 3 for Matthew Owies, the former Loon. He's 6 games as an Eagle. Oh! Big lead from the midfield and Newcomb. Lovely ride. And brings it down. Half forward to Kingston. Watch fans flying for 50. Almost got himself into a tight spot there, but uses D'Ambrosio's left foot, just skinning the fingers of Colin McDonald, who quickly turns into an aggressive tackler and does win the free.
Yeah, it was great execution of the tackle inside forward 50. Then by McDonald, pinned one arm, pinned the other, and then wasn't able to get it on his boot. Young Brady Hoff. So great execution. It's something that they know for their pressure. I'm sure internally it's something that their small forward brigade love to be able to bring to their side, which really gives them lots of energy.
They've done so much right, and yet in front of the goals they've done so much wrong. 2 goals, 7 now.
Yeah, St John's aren't great. So off was caught here. We'll see if he gets a kick to this ball. No, great call. Bounce first.
Again, they're targeting through the middle. Hoff was able to receive it. Sent Baker away. At the last moment, he realised he had to go wide first, which is okay to Owies. He's almost within range from 45 metres out. He has to make a better fist of the kick than that. Jack Williams, nimble for a big guy, and he's put it through. They've kicked the same number of goals as Hawthorn.
Yes, they are. Coast to coast Hawks. So capitalising on another miss by the Hawks, and then we're able to get it back corridor, and then it was a great decision by Baker just to use the spare who was floating along the wing.
Yeah, I'm not sure Matt always bet that he more kick, but I like the decision to be able to take his space and kick it to a dangerous part of the ground. And it's funny what happens when you kick it to the top of the square. You know, it goes a touch deeper than that. It's easy for the opposition to be able to spoil it through, but funny things happen when the ball hits the top of the square. It puts defenders under an awful amount of pressure. Maybe a bit of a lucky bounce here and there, but if you're going to miss a kick, it's a good spot to miss.
One of his 3 goals last week was a little bit similar to that, with a few more players around, but the most of his opportunities. And the Eagles somehow find themselves within 6. Encouragement. Harley Reid trying to put his stamp on the game. Nice weight tails him out to the wing. Here's Baker coming off half back, playing the footy along in front of him, and he ran into a roadblock and D'Ambrosio did a little hop.
Stay with him, man. Stay with him. Move it on. Play on.
As we start to the game. Possession 6. Shoulder erection. Comes marching out. Defended well by McGovern. Moore couldn't escape the clutches of Graham. Duggan tries to pinpoint Owies, but Weddle didn't mark it, but did a lot of heavy lifting for Scrimshaw. How's that for an aggressive kick back to the middle? But Morrison couldn't take it. Hunt, the charging Newcomb, just barging. Morrison with the slick hands to Ginnivan, and then to Joel inside the 50, not paid as a mark. No problems, roll to the left. The kick not so good, a bit indiscriminate forward. Jinby taken down. Duggan will just try and hold this up, but the Hawks refuse to allow. Ginnivan plays for the free and doesn't get it. So 31 seconds, it would be a major win for the Eagles if they could stay within 6 points here. Vacant goal square, Harbuck the closest to it. Meek with the tap out. Hutchinson under there. How's the umpire going to read this? Smart.
Jack Graham just over the top. Ginnivan just using his feet to push him off. He's got to be a little bit careful in that scenario.
To the outside again, Hutchinson. And also Oscar Allen. His body's strewn everywhere, and a bit of hair ruffling as well.
All right, 14 seconds to go. What can the Hawks do here? Ginnivan's around the contest.
Right, call it, John. Which player?
Oh, let's...
Sorry.
Ginnivan.
Too much pressure. Baker. Stewart. Back out to the 50. Hamill in front. And D'Ambrosio it is. Who takes the mark. And he can certainly cover the 45 plus.
The set shots haven't been great, but imagine what this would do right on quarter time. A big goal from 50 out. You can see the angle, can't come off his line.
His only goal of the season was against his old team, the Bombers, so just one goal, one. So not a lot of form to go on. The Hawks have had 10 shots. They've kicked 2 goals, 7 in an opening turn. They've been a dominant force. Some reasonable fist of it. Through about 400 pairs of hands there. I think it is going to count as a behind. It does, so it makes the score look even worse in many ways. You want to win the match lose the match by 1 point on the basis of that, the West Coast Eagles. But the Hawks, 2 goals, 8. Leading West Coast 2-1-13. John Newcomb provided a major highlight in the first quarter. Big lead. Hawks by 7.
All right, folks, welcome back for another game. Of course, Hawthorn, the Eagles. Hawthorn not having it all their own way. 2 goals, 8. What are they doing out there? 2 goals, 8. They got the wobbly boots on today. Have Hawthorn to a 20 leading the Eagles. 2-1-13, 7-point margin here in the opening term at Marvel Stadium. Wow, I think the Eagles are quite lucky to be still in this game. 10 scoring shots, 2-3. We'll have a look at the stats and the ins and outs in just a moment. Just want to welcome in everyone in the live stream who's watching the coverage, of course. Sheila May, Shelty, CR7 Pro, Maxi the Sports Guy. How you going? Nintendo Ninjas, Stephen Doherty, Addy G, Adrian Sports Channel. How you going? How you going? Blues on fire. What's the other game? Actually, just a quick check, folks, of the other game being played at the moment. 25-minute mark in the third term. It's Carlton leading 8-11, 8-74. They're leading the Cats 8-4-52. 22-point leaders are the Carlton Blues over the Cats there. 25 minutes into the third quarter. There we go. Just before I go any further, let's just have a quick look before they get back at the ins and outs, since I didn't get to them prior to the game starting. Of course, coming in, the mouth of the South, Jack Ginnivan comes into Hawthorn. Henry Huswaite comes in, and Bailey McDonald. They're the ins for Hawthorn. Going out, Connor Nash, Giant, and Luke Bruce. The sub, Bailey McDonald. For the Eagles, Oscar Allen's back into the team today. Noah Long and Tom Cole all coming in. Going out for the Eagles, Harry Edwards, Tim Kelly, Tom Gross. Noah Long is the sub. Tim Kelly certainly needs to find a little bit of form, I think, before he can spot right back into this Eagles team. There we go. Let's just have a look at quickly some of the goal scorers and the players' stats up until quarter time. Of course, there's only 4 goal scorers. Jack Williams, Jake the Mullet Waterman, both singles there for the Eagles. For the Hawks, it's Jack Gunston and Jack Ginnivan. The Jacks have the goals on the board for Hawthorn. Disposal count, well, it's the Eagles. The only 2 in double figures at the moment. Brady Hugh and Liam Duggan both on 10 there for the Eagles. Josh Battle there. Next best for the Hawks on 9. James Warple there. Always expect a good game from him. He's on 7. Let's just roll down the board. James Sicily, he should have a nice day down there. It's pretty comfortable, I would think. He's had 6 touches, 3 and 3. Let's keep on going down and see who else we have and who's polling pretty good in the stats up until quarter time. Liam Ryan there, looking for a big game out of him for the West Coast Eagles. He can set him alight if he gets the opportunity. He's just had the 3 touches, 2 kicks, a handball. He's had 4 tackles, so he's putting the pressure on well just for the one behind. Jack Gunston, there we go. If he gets on song, he can kick another bagful like last week. 3 touches, though, 1 kick, 1 goal. He's dead-eye Dick, isn't he? He's very accurate. Two handballs as well, with a couple of marks grabbing the ball well. Ginnivan there we go. I know he's kicked a goal, but he's only had the 3 touches, 3 kicks, a mark and a tackle. So maybe, you know what, actually probably wouldn't be bad sticking him up around the midfield, some of these players. Nicky Watson, the wizard, no wizardry about his game so far, just 2 touches, 2 kicks. And of course, Harley Reid, there's a man. Well, he's got the $1 million price tag on him, but he's not playing like that. He needs to get into the game if the Eagles have got any chance at all. All right, let's get back to the scoreboard. Let's take us back down to the ground. They'll take us into the second quarter in just under a minute, where it's the Hawks by 7 points.
Inside forward 50. They've taken 7 marks, can you believe, which is half what they usually take in a match. So they haven't been very efficient ahead of the ball, but I've still liked what they've done around it. They've marked the footy. They've taken the game on, given the opportunity, but they've changed angles, which has been really impressive. And they started to do this last week, but the angle changes across the ground with the way that they attack. So from their back half into their forward half, constantly changing angles, constantly engaging that spare behind the ball. So yes, they'll be disappointed with the way that they've kicked a goal, but they're getting the shots. I think they'll be confident in that. Sam Mitchell will be talking about that, no doubt, and looking at it as a positive and something that hopefully can change in the remaining 3 quarters. But they've been very dominant and it should be further in front, you would think.
Yeah, well, he's been talking about the last couple of weeks in terms of opportunities. The opportunities are there. There's just the cream on top of the way that they are actually moving the football. It isn't at the moment, and that's evident again in quarter 1, Tommy. You've explained it perfectly in regards to the way they're building up. The ball has been strong. Their forwards are putting great pressure on. Repeat entries are there. Everything's in the right place, except just nailing those opportunities to put a big gap in this game. So what they do is they just leave the door ajar, and they did a couple of times for the West Coast Eagles who were able to go down. They didn't have too many opportunities themselves, but 2 goals won. A couple of those come from, and their 2 goals did come from kick-ins as well. So they just left the door open a little bit for the Eagles.
All right, we'll see if anything changes in the second. Then tries to make the running, but McKenzie was ready and waiting. Tackle pressure from Graham off the square. Slowed them down a little. Aiming to Meek, bounding away. Newcomb gets further out and does fool them beautifully. His ball just doesn't quite match. McGovern first and then Harley Reid. He just kicked that blindly, and Gallagher have to take the mark. His backs against his old team. Off to Amon quickly in the Chol direction and stood his ground. Mark for a free kick. The free kick was actually played.
It was great early body from Chol. He just protected the drop zone beautifully. His craft was perfect on that occasion.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier, John. He's starting to look like a bit more of a complete player that we now I think expect of Mabiol Chol. We see it in glimpses, but you're right. His pressure early, or he's got to chase down tackle, holding the ball for the mid part of the ground. The body work, which does take time for key forwards, but he's starting to put it all together now.
3 goals won last week. Also kicked 3 against Carlton. And he's eased that one right through the middle. Couldn't split them any better. Finally, someone shows how to kick a beautiful set shot.
He didn't even watch it go through, Hawk. He turned sideways and just started celebrating with the crowd, and then his teammates as well. So, build up again though. And it was well done by Brass to be able to play assertive and intercept that ball off half back, and Chol in the one-on-one. You can see here his movement, how he positions himself. It's a good mark on Oscar Allen.
It's that contact back into Oscar Allen when the ball's in the air just before it gets to its point of contact with that 2 contesting pair. So it was hard, it was fierce, it was back into his body, which ultimately created the space for him to move back into.
So it makes it a testing time for Oscar Allen too, doesn't it? In his temporary role as a defender. Hoff, in his role as a midfielder, finding out what it's like when the heat is really on.
Well, Hawks, we've only had 1 disposal to Oscar Allen.
With an appetite for it. McKenzie dumps it in again. Oh, Max cuts across. And it was welcome, but a blind handball straight to Gunston. Has things under control. McDonald screws it back to the square. Allen didn't take the mark. More ready and waiting to Joel again. Oh, what a turn! They guessed wrong. And guess what? He's put it through. Joel comes alive. 60 seconds from Mabel. And the Hawks are starting to crank.
And how good was that footwork on the goal square? We talk about Oscar Allen and his anxiousness and the way that he must be feeling, but he loses a one-on-one contest. It's a beautiful craft, and then gets this sort of foot, drops the mark, and then the footwork by Mabiol Chol here, the speed to get in and out, end to finish, was very, very clever.
Oh, it's a good step, isn't it? Well, just went to go inboard. You watch here, the little shimmy, bang, towards the goal line.
Nice little delicate touch to it.
Wasn't it? You shouldn't be able to do that sort of stuff at 200 centimetres, but that's all we talk about, the evolution of Mabiol.
12 goals, 5 for the season now. Mario Chol. Clearance advantage is +7 now. The Eagles through Hewitt get this one away. But well, how to anything is the question. It's heavy going for Cripps. Look at that.
It's good pressure.
Yeah.
It really is.
Margins expanded to 19 and quickly. Mick with the reach. McKenzie back to Morrison. Couldn't really control where this one was going to land. A high ball, bit of hanging on. And the arm, that's Duggan's ball against Connor McDonald. Lies to the middle initially, but now he takes off. Bit of open ground. Long kick. Waterman! Right, it's a free kick. A great of disappointment from the Eagles fans, and I'm sure that is shared by Jake Waterman. I'm sure had a sore head, it appears. Let's have another look at who the offender was. Against Liam Ryan. Insufficient for unrealistic, I guess.
Unrealistic.
It's probably a bit stiff, isn't he? He usually takes a sit there.
Well, it's a right up past that time as well.
That's a right lead. Straight up the middle too. I like that. Strong lead right up the corridor.
Archie Reid. They've been in round one this year. He's played all 6 games. 4 goals, 5 so far. Kicked a couple in the derby against Freo. Of course, last week played against his brother Zach, who's in Essendon. So he's set here. Hasn't seen much of it yet today. He's put this on its way, but again, as the Hawks found in the first quarter, kicking them straight from the set shot isn't always easy. Hawks dominating.
They've opened up one side here. Just see Army on the Impey on the sprint. Thank you, Hawk.
To Hardwick. Sicily signalling to go down the line, and then he became the go-to man, and he just kicks it down the line instead to Gunston and McGovern. Great little duel there when those two are opposed to each other. Jeremy McGovern 4 games away from 200, and Jack Gunston 265th game, and as we said, 5 away now from 500 goals as Andrew McWalter with his share of issues here and how to contain Hawthorn. Chola's gone back to the goal square one-on-one if they can get it moving, and Ward trying to do that, but well done from Davis, whisked it away. Graham just works it back through the middle, and then it about to go their way. Instead, it was battle D'Ambrosio to put it on Hawthorn's terms. Moore, the right close from Baker, couldn't get the job done. Moore never sits still, stands still, kicks powerfully to aim on. Leads are made as a choice of where would you like to go next? And it's Hardwick in the pot.
It's a good kick too inside forward 50 because it brought Hardwick back towards the corridor to take the mark. So therefore just opens up the goal face nicely here, looking like he's going to snap this one around the body.
He was one of the misses in the first quarter. He's got his own now, though. And so are the Hawks. David Roden's getting busy.
I think he'd be happy about it too, to be honest. Hutto and Sol, we've seen some unfortunate misses, but it wasn't beautiful finish by Hardwick, who played his junior football as a forward, played a lot of footy and been so reliable. And we heard Sam Mitchell talk about his importance when I asked the question about James Sicily, and he's often the forgotten man, but he swings forward and back so efficiently.
Watched him for the first time at GMHBA Stadium for Vic Metro coming out of the goal square many, many years ago now. So that was his go-to as a junior. He was strong. I think he was about the same size he is today. So he had good size as a junior, but certainly has played a valuable role for the Hawks over many years.
Starts this stoppage in the goal square, and it's coming his way. Ward, forward handball. Given had a long look. Maybe he should have had a long ball.
Lloyd Meek has been huge to start the game, hasn't he? He's up to 10 disposals. He gave them a clear look at it out the front, something that they're really good at, but he's just been so dominant in that part of the ground.
Dicing with danger on the kick in. Walter will get the opportunity, and he doesn't miss it.
Well, this one in the first quarter, had a sit-up, so it makes up for it. There's a great intercept by the Hawks. They just surrounded Cole. They picked up exactly where the ball was going to go. Look at that, 3v1. Warple does all the work. Puts it straight back over David Roden.
What a luxury to be able to bring back James Warple into your side, a clearance beast, and if he can get forward and get on the end of a couple, he becomes even a more valuable player with Will Day and Connor Nash out suspended. So great luxury for Sam Mitchell to be able to bring him back into the side.
Just his second goal of the season in his fourth game. Quick hands out of the middle on the Hawks that time from Husplate, but turned back. Now Battle goes to work across hard back. Look at the run from behind from Weddle. In fact, I think he ran too fast, so Battle couldn't connect, and he doesn't connect on the kick the other way. The Davis first, Ben Owies, head first into Ward. Okay, can't make a call. This way is the other Hawk involved. Suddenly it's a 31-point margin. The risk of blowing out even further and quickly. So the Eagles have got to make the most of some territory here. Flynn with the tap down. Where in through Graham and then Davis. Puts that in front of Hutchinson. The goals were there, but he just couldn't quite get the angle right off the boot.
Keep moving out, James. Keep coming out. James.
Scrimshaw with the footy.
Play on.
Settles on Meek as the target. Flynn, did he interfere? No whistle on that. Cole through Baker, and eventually they were able to force it back through Hoff. Jimby gets involved again with Marrick. Back out wide to Hoff. Possession 12 coming up.
I know they've got the ball at the moment, the West Coast Eagles, but when they do turn it over, they haven't laid a tackle in this quarter. They've just put more pressure around the ball carriers of Hawthorn. Start to inspire each other by some big tackles. Lock the ball in, because at the moment it's just non-existent.
So 11 minutes, no tackles.
Yep.
So he plays it wide. It's a one-on-one contest, which the Eagles, when the help arrive through Baker, are able to win. Owies strokes the kick into the pocket. You see Scrimshaw working in with Battle, and Archie Reid at least locks it away in the front 50. Was the capsizing of the pack earlier on, and Scrimshaw with the bloods to show it. Ball back into play. Hewitt at the coalface with the tackling. Hutchinson there as well.
Yep, James. This one.
A bit of a lull here with a couple of stoppages in a row.
Oh, he's on the move. Getting an opposition there. It's bashed out of there by Barris. Back to the wing. Gunston denied by McGovern. The hands from Flynn was okay. They're working overtime, and the pressure is rising every time they win the footy. McGovern copping at that time, and the penalty looks a bit kind.
mentioned a couple of stoppages in a row, Joe. I actually don't mind that from a West Coast point of view. Hawthorn are clearly trying to play really quick and fast when they get the ball, so put them under a bit of fatigue, make them feel some bodies. Repeat stoppages are okay.
Came to Flynn. Look at him. Find a little opening, charging forward. Off to Hewitt. Plays it nicely in front. There's a diving slips catch from Waterman. Reid is down in the goal square. Archer Reid. And he says, we might have some blood here, have we? Jack Gunston. There's the bleeder.
So a chance for rotations here. The Hawks get Newcomb back on to the ground with Morrison.
Belcher could get only 4 goals at this second term. Quickly open up a 30-point advantage. Jake Waterman. And the 2 Eagles goal kickers.
It's going to be a big launch, this one.
Surely can't make the difference.
He is capable. Waterman. Oh, into the post. No, it's a goal.
You're right, Hunter. I thought that was sport into the post too from the out angle, but must have just got over the goal line. No complaints. That's a big bomb. We did see he had a couple from that position. That's 3 now from this part of the ground.
Fabulous mark. And the kick.
Oh yeah,
Yes. Well done by Reid on the line, wasn't it? To protect the ball from going through.
2 for Waterman. And back to 24 points. Stony faced Gunston watching on as he's treated. No doubt eager to get out there. Newcomb flips it out. D'Ambrosio. Targets full forward.
that's a the attack.
That's more like a full
See,
forward.
that's strong. Hillfield's got to build from that now. Oscar Allen.
Back to the wing he goes. Waterman trying to get there. He won't. In the, oh, Sicily dramatically goes to ground. Scrimshaw kept in. Jewett did that quite well. Now it's taken over. The umpires sort of looked at each other. That's okay.
Jack Gunston still being cleaned up off of the blood rule.
Quite an operation.
Yeah, it has been.
Margin 24 then. Back up Ruckman involved. Williams and Weddle. Quick kick forward from Hustwaite. Tracked down by Baker. Sliding to make sure he takes the mark. He has Marich running from behind. Decides to go by hand down the line. Just kick off the instep, so it could have gone anywhere, and indeed it goes to Sicily. Runs it to the middle. The hands from Amon were sharp. They needed to be. Ryan was trying to track them down. In the end, they do turn it back over. Baker, they should be a little out of kilter, the Hawks. Eyes for the footy only from Cripps, and he takes the mark.
That strong 2 from Cripps. Scrimshaw had done the right thing and left his direct opponent to put pressure on and try and get the spoil in. And better pressure too from West Coast. Run from behind. Handball up. Interception by Baker.
1 goal, 3 last week, Jamie Cripps. Normally a reliable source of goals. He's more than capable. And he leaves this one marginally to the right. Trying to overtly show too much annoyance and frustration. They are going to have to kick beautifully a goal if they're going to stay in touch.
Exactly right.
Aim on again, high. Joe! Wow!
That's a leap. Right there. I thought Oscar Allen had his name all over that until Marbio Chol entered the equation.
Spoil from Baker. And Hardwick takes it over.
Hutto, it's a busy bench down here for the Hawks. Dylan Moore's getting some treatment on his leg at the moment, and Jack Dunstan's still getting patched up.
Thanks, Sarah. It was a big early leg, wasn't it? He just was able to hang long enough.
He's a big man, isn't he?
He's putting on something of a show in this second quarter.
Doing more with the boot off. That's concerning from a Hawthorn point of view.
Yeah, so Sarah said a couple of issues for the Hawks downstairs. Their lead is 23 though. Nice connection between Ruck and Rover. Newcomb comes away, brushed off a couple of potential tacklers. Aim on. Watson with no opponent. Takes the mark.
That's what we're talking about, Hutto. The West Coast Eagles, 2 tackles for the quarter, and an opportunity there. Play a big tackle on Hawthorn's best midfielder, restrict their movement, just let him waltz through, and then get the ball to the outer side of the ground with connection to their best small forward.
Steely focus on what's ahead. Nick Watson connects the ball with his last shot. Comes out to the right. How's he going to celebrate this one? But the Hawks starting to click in front of goal in this second term.
They certainly are, Hutto, running at 75% score per inside 50, which is a remarkably high when you compare that to West Coast, only running at 36. So they're starting to become a bit more efficient in front of goal. They're starting to look really good. Contest work, getting it forward, being able to win those and then hit the scoreboard. It was a beautiful finish by Watson. He's got a unique kicking style, the way that he finishes and gets through the ball. I'm not sure that the modern day goalkeeping coach would teach you to fall off the ball like that, Jono, but it's certainly effective for him at the moment.
Yeah, it works from distance, doesn't it? 40 plus out.
Newcomb's hands were terrific again. Huswaite off the left boot, which he trusted implicitly. We can see why. He's put it to a perfect position for McDonald to run onto. The handball a little awkward for Amon, no sense of panic. Oh, the kick, quite impressive. What about that take and turn from Baker to get it back into Hunt? And great connection out of the defence, so Hutchinson and now Cripps and Baker. So they put a lot of work into this, the Eagles. Can they keep it going? No is the answer. Ryan's handball went to Morrison, and suddenly it's the Hawks that are thinking about the time to go, which is now. Ginnivan curls into the pocket, hard with the focus. Watch out, there's Watson behind. McGovern goes to patched up and back out there with the footy somewhere.
He handled that really well, Gunston. McGovern was trying to just bury through with his head, and he just held off nicely and laid an effective tackle.
Well, McDonald and smother from Hutchinson again. Baker feeding it back, and they're out of Hunt's boot. Barris, Ryan, a tackle on the run there. Did that pretty well. Reed, a little poke to the outside, and his namesake up against an impy though. Suddenly, they have the footy away from the pursuing Eagles. Husway, way too severe on the handball. Oh, as he has Ryan, and he just couldn't get the dimensions on the kick line. Scrimshaw.
Their gunners just can't touch the ball today, unfortunately for the West Coast Eagles, and it's becoming an issue with what Hawthorn are able to produce in the run from behind at the minute.
Scrimshaw to Weddle, they take off. Warple to Morrison, next in line is Impey, cut to the inside, and a kick into the pocket. The Flyers were all Eagles though. Impey did well with the mark. Into the pump and the kick across the face of goal.
Just a little thing from Watson there, congratulating him at the moment, his Hawks teammates, because he just dives. He's never going to smother it, but he just gets in the vision with the dive across the boot as West Coast are looking to switch it, and creates that opportunity now for a stoppage inside forward 50.
Which takes place at the back ward. Got the hands clear, or did he? Play on was the call. And reset. 7 minutes left. Hawks still +8 in the clearances. Just had the handball. There was a couple of Eagles there to try and hit. Flynn as he jumped on the ball. There's a drowning kind of hand up there in the middle.
Back this way.
Ward, Newcomer on the move, comes out the Husband, his kick, as you saw, was smothered. Up to the inside, Jimby powering out of defence as well. Got it to Cripps, he's back to goal, he tries to work it through Cole. Jimby again, same approach, doesn't seem to matter what's in his way. They read the ball from Hawthorn, Morrison plays it cleverly, back to Sicily, D'Ambrosio again, corner onto his right, and here's Mick.
Dominating, mate. That was so good from the Hawks to stop the West Coast Eagles run through the corridor.
There's Gunston in the pocket. Watson's deep as well.
Oh,
It is high.
hit the roof.
An invitation for someone to try and take mark of the year, but no one really flew. It looked like he was going to walk through, but in the end his kick is a bit rushed. MP back to Sicily. It's at the required. Warple to Meek again. Just a bit too strong for McDonald, but he got it back from Harvick. How quick were those hands? And it's Morrison who gets it from Ginnivan and puts the polish on. And the Hawks kick it off.
Hands on hips everywhere at the moment from the West Coast point of view. They are done. And they've got a lot to work on here to dig themselves out of this, the West Coast Eagles. What Hawthorn are producing at the moment is a masterclass in work rate, effort around the ball, and using your teammate in the right spot. I like that from Ginnivan, just the easy handball, Hawk out.
Yeah, they certainly have, John, and they've probably been a bit cleaner across the board than what we've seen from West Coast. So we've seen some West Coast chains through the attacking mid part of the ground when they look to enter inside forward 50, and there's just one or two missed handballs, which I think is really costing them. Where Hawthorn, they're being able to get the ball in a chain, be able to go forward, but then their cleanliness to put our player always in a better position gives them a better shot, ultimately at goal at the other end.
Get back down to Sarah in a moment, but the Hawks are on the move. Warple, McDonald just had a moment to consider. He couldn't ignore Jack Gunston.
Dylan Moore's back out there, guys. He's got that right foot heavily strapped and is currently down the forward line as Jack lines up for goal.
Thank you, Sarah. Barry McDonald is the sub for the Hawks. Played just the 2 games a couple of years ago. You're going to be out there and be part of all this. You wouldn't want to miss out when the Hawks are up and firing. Gunston the latest. He's kicked his second, as has Marty O'Chol.
Anyway, Mario's having a bit of a chuckle about the little white patch that he's got on his cheek now, Jack Gunston. But what about the movement? Just slips in behind. You've got to love that as a forward when you've got space to be able to do that, knowing that your teammates are completely coming clean out of the centre bounce hall.
Yeah, you do. And just the way, having been paired right next to Ginnivan, their time together, you can see it. You can see the chemistry that they've built over a period of time, even though he's only been there for a few years, but they both led in different directions. Jack ducked behind his opponent, then cut back up. It was really, really good forward craft from a really, really clever player.
Well, they've worked on their conversion and got it right at quarter time. Couldn't get one, Hutto, from set shot in the first quarter, but nailed this second quarter, the Hawks.
Coach is satisfied. Jack Gunston up to 496 goals now. Hutchinson, bit of leapfrog required in the middle to get out. High towards Waterman again. Battle stayed down. Oh, Ryan was itching to get hold of the footy. Williams put the required pressure on to ensure there'll be an opportunity. Then Ryan, Ali Reid were both there as potential hit 2 targets. Morris Manning right up and down the chimney. It's poked back towards the goal square. Weddle. Luxury of a bit of space to get a clearing kick. Clears Flynn, but not Marriage. So Merrick with the footy. To McGovern. Smelly tempered the kick out of the pocket. The fumble from Sicily allows Owies in. Cripps. Disrupted, just sheer weight of numbers. And combined pressure, it was towing there, but that's a free kick for the to McKenzie. So the Hawks by 41. 7 goals second term. Still 4 minutes of playing time remaining. Hardwick at the back. McGovern moves it up. Puts you up. Little pop kick is okay down the line. Good stretch from Hewitt. He takes them up. Not been able to recapture last week's form yet. Ryan's in front this time and Reed from the side. They weren't quite sure what each was doing. Waterman with his own little shot. Massive Falco for Sicily to deal with. That's stunned, but he has to go after it again. There's a free kick and it's going West Coast way.
It's going to Ryan because then Sicily tried to make up for dived in on the ball. They took the legs.
Just to add insult to facial injury.
That's right. So it flushes him there and he goes back and tries to make amends, obviously, and Ryan stands up on it.
So he lost a bit of goal-kicking confidence last week. Didn't take the shot at the critical time of the game as a set shot played on and missed, but he hasn't missed here. And the Eagles need to take what they can get at the moment because the opportunities are few and far between, but that's 2 for the quarter and 4 for the game.
So there you see, they've done well here. They win the free kick and kick the goal. But there it goes back to the next centre bounce. Well, that's where the communication has to be really high here on what they do in the middle of the ground. Whether they can get that next one and a clear one back inside forward 50. Give the forwards another opportunity late in this quarter. So what's Reed? Reed's only had the three disposals for the Hawks. He's in the centre bounce for the... Not for the Hawks, for the West Coast Eagles. So careful, John. Careful, apologies. See if you can get him on the run here. See if you can produce something. No, I'm not. See if you can produce something here for your star midfielder to become actively involved in the game.
Sam didn't have him for breakfast as well, did he?
Here we go.
Reed plays it out to Hoff. Checks it out to the wing. Underneath that, Hunt didn't quite know when to rise. McKenzie at ground level, so comfortable and familiar. Bounces the wrong way from Moore. Hunt made the footy his target. Did he dive on it? No, he didn't.
And these repeat stoppages again, I know I said it before, but they're actually important. They can build a bit of momentum, have a bit more communication off the back of them.
Auckland takes territory. Awkward bounce for Watson. Fires it out to McGovern. They have tried to surge when they can off half-back, but it hasn't been easy. McKenzie knew how to turn out of there. Meek gets involved in the offence again. Bones are rattled on Watson. And not in a legal fashion.
It's just that one handball again from West Coast that hits the ground. They look like they're out, they look like they're going, and they make an error by hand.
Look how far back the Wizard has gone here. He's almost gone back as far as he has to kick it. Again.
What he'll do, he'll run out to the right here. That's how he generates his power from this distance.
Hawthorn fans will erupt.
Just faded.
Just didn't quite get the connection he was after. Eric again, to improvise to a degree. Closing speed from Hunt on McKenzie.
Scrimshaw down in the room is having a concussion test as we speak.
Okay.
And that's off the back of that earlier knee to the back of the head. We assume at this stage.
He still had a bit of blood for quite a while
He
afterwards, didn't he?
Yeah, and when Liam Ryan was trying to go for a big hanger.
Himself only returning a couple of weeks ago from suspension last week. Reed scampering off. And inside to Davis and back to the outside again. Hewitt, the pesky Ward wouldn't let him go. The Hawks turn it their way, but that's an outstanding bit of determination from Graham. And he earns himself the free. He telegraphed the inward kick to Hoff, who didn't panic, and that was, well, it was pretty good under the circumstances to just maintain possession somehow. Hawks kept on running to half forward. Nice fly across the front from Archer Reed. Ryan worried out of it by Battle. Tremendous intent again. Ward apologises.
It's a good win by Battle. It really is, because Ryan set himself up beautifully for a front square there. He saw exactly where his teammate was going to contest the ball, put himself in the perfect position. So for Battle to just harass and win that ball back was an excellent one-on-one win.
Last minute of the second quarter, Meek in front, Flynn over the top, on the move, Hewitt. Back to Hunt, scrambles it down the line. Bounces just in time. Let's have another look at what happened to Jack Scrimshaw.
Yes, it's a big knee, isn't it, to the back of the head, even towards the ear. It's right on the back of the neck. So he's going to ground, unfortunately, as the pack starts to collapse, with Ryan trying to take a big grab.
Reed at the front, Meek over the top. Ryan made his move again. Meek in the thick of it. To Barris. Flynn, it's not going to be a mark, so pops it inside 50. Graham got the handball to Harley Reid, just to manoeuvre it forward to Hewitt. Oh, he's popped up just astray.
It was clean though from West Coast. It was clean at ground level. The ground ball was clean, and the execution by hand by a couple of players was clean. Therefore, they opened themselves up with an opportunity to score.
Joel, I think, see if he can get a nice running leap again here from the side of the pack. It was high enough, but he wasn't granted access.
Government was all over that.
Yeah, no doubt. Seems to be puts paid to any other prospects of a mark. Seems to be much more comfortable in defence where he's been this year. He was equal on intercept mark average with McGovern coming into the game today. And that is saying something. Throw in, Flynn versus Meek again. McKenzie, Amon in a rush. McKenzie, was that high from the rear?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Not short of a word, Harley Reid. That did seem to be the case. So that ends a quarter where the Hawks really put the foot down. Well, actually put the foot through. They started to kick straight rather than in the first quarter when they couldn't turn their dominance into scores. So as you pointed out, Jono, in that term, it was 24 tackles to 8 in favour of Hawthorn, even though they were the team who was winning the contested possession. And they've turned that into a half-time lead of 35 points, Sarah Jones.
Jai, that was an impressive opening half. What's the coach going to be most pleased with?
Oh, I think our effort in the contest, blokes showing up for one another. Got to be strong in that area if we want to get on the scoreboard. So.
Some crazy goal kicking in that first quarter, certainly some inaccurate kicking. How do you make sure that that doesn't get away from you?
Oh, I think trying to give ourselves the best looks as possible, being unselfish when we're going inside 50, looking for what's best for us as a team. We keep doing that, then shouldn't have any troubles.
We'll let you get in the room.
Thank you.
So it is the Hawks by 35 points here at Marvel Stadium. After the break, Tom Hawkins joins me to go through the opening half. Plus, we'll get all the latest news from around the football world in round 7 with David Ziega.
All right, folks, there we go. Half-time here at Marvel Stadium. It's the Hawks looking good, 9-10-64. Eagles 4-5-29. Well, the Hawks just piled the goals on in that second term. 7 goals, 2. They certainly have their kicking boots on in that quarter. The Eagles could only manage 2 goals, 4. I like the way the Hawks are running in waves, as they said. They're all putting the pressure on, and of course all the Hawks players get around the contest, so they're winning the contest while getting the ball, getting that run, which is good. Of course, Waterman, the mullet man, kicked a beautiful long goal in that quarter for the Eagles, as did Liam. All right, let's just duck over and have a look at the goal scorers. Just before we go on to the goal scorers, just a quick update on the other match. It's just about full time there over at Marvel State, at the MCG, I should say, where Carlton 14-10-94 leading Geelong 12-4-76. There we go, 18 points, Carlton in front over there, just about full time. All right, let's have a look at the goal scorers for West Coast. Not too many, just Jake Waterman with 2, Jack Williams with 1, Liam Ryan with 1. That's it for the West Coast Eagles. For Hawthorn, though, a couple of multiple goal scorers, Jack Gunston, Mabe Chol, both with 2, James Warple, the Wizard Nick Watson with 1, Harry Morrison, Blake Hardwick, Jack Ginnivan, all single goal scorers for Hawthorn. Just a quick look at the AFL fantasy points. If you play that game, Lloyd Meek leading the way, 85. Josh Battle, 61. Ryan Marrick, 56. The rest under. Disposal getters, well, Ryan Marrick there for the Eagles. He tops the table with 18 disposals, 11 kicks, 7 handballs, 3 marks. Best for the Hawks is Josh Battle. There we go. He's on 16, 8 and 8, 4 marks, 2 tackles. Brady Ho up to 15 there for the Eagles. Lloyd Meek doing a good job there for the Hawks. 15 touches, 7 and 7, 3 marks, 3 tackles, 1 clearance. He's kicked to behind, 27 hitouts to go with that as well. Working hard, playing a great game there, Lloyd Meek. There we go. Let's just roll down a little bit because the commentators will be back. James Sicily up to 12 there for the Hawks. Liam Duggan and Liam Baker both on 12 there for the Eagles. As we keep on rolling down just a little bit more, let's see who else we've got. You can check out your favourite player as we slowly scroll down the player stats. Wanted to check and see how Harley Reid was going also. Mabe Chol looks like he was up and about there today also with some of the things he's doing, some spoils. He's had 7, 6 kicks, a handball. He's had 2 marks, 3 tackles, a hit out, a clearance, 2 goals, so he's not going too bad. The big man took a nice mark as well in that quarter. Harley Reid, well, he's still quiet, isn't he? Just the 6 touches up until half time. Oh, Harley, I suppose it's going to take him a bit of time. As I keep saying every week, we keep expecting him to have a ring-a-ding-ding game, but it's just not happening. 2 kicks, 4 handballs, 2 clearances, 1 tackle for Harley Reid. All right, there, the rest of your stats for the players. We'll come back to the team stats not too far away, but let's get back down to the commentators. They'll give us a bit of analysis on the opening half.
Tom Hawkins, what about Mario Troll's performance tonight? The highlight reel he's going to have from this one will be impressive.
Yeah, he's got some already impressive highlights, but I've loved his work right across the ground. So his ability to be able to take the high-flying mark, the pressure through the mid part of the ground. We saw a run-down, chase-down tackle. His body work against Oscar Allen, who is a wonderful key position player, has been really impressive. So to be able to be in the game and kick 2 goals, and this the beautiful footwork from a big 200-centimetre man. But the 7 disposals and just being actively involved in the game is what's really impressed me. Sometimes you can get caught up in just the kick mark, but he's kind of doing it all. So it's been a really complete performance for the first half from Marbion.
A couple of goals in a couple of minutes certainly ignited the Hawks. What about their ball movement? So against the Cats on Easter Monday, their disposal efficiency by foot was quite poor. They were able to be picked off. They weren't able to switch like they'd normally. What have you made of it today? It's been much, much more slick.
Yeah, look, I think they're still had at times their issue, but the thing that I've loved the most is just this ability to be able to finish inside 50. So I think they've been moving the ball really slick, changing angles, which makes it really hard for West Coast to try and defend. But their ball movement has been clean and efficient. So on the other side, the West Coast Eagles pressure rating is well below where it needs to be.
So just on that, Tommy, coming into the game, Hawthorn the best pressure side in the AFL, West Coast the worst, and that just causes turnovers.
Yeah, it certainly does, and they've scored off the back of that. So Hawthorn really good, they're playing to their strength, and when things haven't gone exactly the way you had planned, particularly the last couple of weeks, honing in on something you're really good at is a really important thing to do. And no doubt Sam, as such an experienced player and coach, has talked about during the week. There you see 7-7. They kick straight in front of goal, Sarah, and all of a sudden that's a bigger margin again. So I've loved what I've seen. It's not just one-way running often when you can play in these sides. When it is a bit one-sided, all your energy can be put into attack, but it's certainly not the case, and they're defending really well.
Let's see what the West Coast Eagles have got in response in this second half. After the break, we are headed to the newsroom, David Zeta, with all the breaking news across round 7 of football.
We talk about...
All right, we'll be back to the newsroom just to get a little bit of news up on the footy scene. Not too far away, but while we're waiting for that, let's just have a look at the team stats. Of course, disposal count probably doesn't show how this game is going. It's just 29 disposals to the Hawks in front at halftime. There we go. 22 kicks and 7 handballs. The Hawks, I tell you what, this looks pretty good for the Hawks. 28 inside 50s. 28 inside 50s, 19 scoring shots. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. The Eagles inside 23 times for their 9 scoring shots. Disposal efficiency, well, that is down for both sides. That is down. I'm surprised that's down for Hawthorn, but I'm sure they'll be a lot cleaner coming out after the break. Efficiency inside 50, have a look at that, 71.4% for the Hawks. That is super high. Season average, 48%. Eagles well down there on 39. 49 is their season average. Free kicks, the home side. They'll be enjoying this, though. They will be enjoying this. 12 free kicks there to the Hawks. Only 6 to West Coast Eagles, the home team. Absolutely always enjoys when the free kick count goes their way. The hit-outs, clearances. Hawks winning this section as well. 29-16 in the hit-outs, dominating there by 13. The clearances, they're +7 there, the Hawks. Centre clearances, though, doing the damage out of the centre bounce, 10-4. West Coast not getting their mitts on the ball all too often there. And, of course, Hawks doing well in that department. They're just about on season average. They're well ahead so far in this game. Stoppage clearances, pretty tight there, 13-12, just the one the difference there. Contested possessions, well, both teams contesting the ball reasonably well there, 76-66, only +10 there to the Hawks. Uncontested, though, getting away from the Eagles, +25 to the Hawks, 25% more uncontested to the Hawks. Turnovers, well, pretty even there, isn't it? 38-39, nothing much there. The Hawks, though, with that uncontested possessions, controlling the ball a little bit. Of course, they're going to be up on the marks, 40, 29, +11, marks inside 50. You got to love when these numbers are big, folks, for your team. It just means they're creating space for the forwards down there, getting plenty of opportunity in their forward 50, and that's always a great sign. Take the mark, have a shot on goal, see how you go. The West Coast Eagles, only 3 at the moment up until half-time. They got to look to get a little bit of space there. That being said, the Hawks' defense is holding up well, not allowing the Eagles to get much space at all. So have a look at the tackle count now. Of course, the tackles, Hawthorn bringing the heat definitely in that second turn. They were running in ways. They were putting the pressure on. There was 3 and 4 players around the contest at each one. 43-26. Eagles, you need to lay a little bit of pressure. You need pressure. Tackles inside 50. Actually, both teams going pretty well here. 11 Hawks, 6 Eagles. So not too bad in that. All right, let's get back down to the commentators. We'll hear from them a little bit more and a little bit from the newsroom.
Huge result for the Carlton Football Club.
It is. Their season was a spluttering start, but they're well and truly back on track now. They've defeated Geelong by 18 points. Now, this was a game that saw the Blues leading by 28 points at three-quarter time. The Cats, as they often do, brought it back to within 10, but then the Blues steadied. Harry Mackay kicked 3 goals in the match. Charlie Curnow as well. The Blues now motoring along after a pretty poor start to the season. I think it's fair to say they're well and truly back in the mix in 2025. So a great result for them. Zach Williams went off the ground with a calf concern. Now, hopefully he has not torn that calf, because last time he did, he missed 12 rounds of football. Adam Chera had an injury concern too. Tom Stewart looked worse for wear. Those last 2 played out the game, but there could be a cost from that victory for the Blues and that loss for the Cats. Also, some MRO news that has just come in. So Paul Curtis has been offered a 3-match ban for a dangerous tackle on Josh Sin. So the AFL therefore must have found that obviously Sin was vulnerable. He had both arms pinned, and that there was excessive force in this tackle. So potentially they think that he should have tried to move it around and to rotate him in the tackle. Essendon, Brisbane and Richmond are the next 3 opponents for the North Melbourne Football Club. He has been one of their best. And Harley Reid, just something on him quickly now. Obviously, a lot of conjecture about his future and a lot of discussion about whether he even leaves at the end of this year. Now, I'm told he hasn't even raised this as a possibility with either the Eagles or his management. So he is well and truly someone who takes his time to make decisions. And I think he's set for the long haul, or at least until the end of next year. So it's a marathon rather than a sprint here. I think next year's when we're going to find out what Harley Reid wants to do. Clubs do believe he might be gettable at the end of this season. I think it's more likely he waits, gets through until the end of 2026, and then he signs a multi-million-dollar deal wherever he may go, maybe even the Tomahawks Cats, but certainly a lot to weigh up for Harley Reid. I don't think he's going to be hitting the panic button just yet, Jonesy, and as you know, and as I'm sure everyone's aware, he's probably more focused on the second half at the moment.
I'm sure he is, because his West Coast Eagles have got some work to do if they're going to get back into this game. They trail it by 35 points at the main break, and the young Oz kickers are enjoying their moment in the spotlight here at Marvel Stadium, having the time of their lives. The NAB Oz kickers enjoying the great game of Australian rules football.
All right, folks, we'll be back in just a moment.
Well, 10 years ago, Luke Hodge was kicking the rippers from the boundary as the Hawks raised the cup for the third consecutive time. Alistair Clarkson with the silverware. A hot day as they took care of the West Coast Eagles, kicked 5 goals to 1 in the first quarter, and it was never really in doubt. Silverioli, one of the stars, it's a 10-year anniversary for the Hawks. Jack Gunston kicked 4 that day. He's still going, of course. 4 for the Hawks. What a team they were.
Yeah, had the pleasure of playing against them for a number of years, and they were, I think, in my experience and my opinion, they were the best side that I ever played against. They were beautifully coached and had stars all over the ground.
That face of poor Jack Gunston receiving some more work. It's in quite an awkward spot where he had the blood rule, so just getting further treatment from the doctors. I can also confirm that the Hawks have made their subs. So Jack Scrimshaw, who caught that knee to the head earlier in the game, has been ruled out with concussion, and Bailey McDonald comes in as the substitute.
We want to see whether, thank you Sarah, whether one of these young Eagles might be modelling himself on someone we know pretty well. Maybe a Hawthorn inspiration. What do you think?
You think? I love that. Anything to do with the great Derek Brandon, and we can highlight how good he was as a player. And if Ruben can get anywhere close to
He's got a little way to go, hasn't he? Just the 5 day, the 5 night.
That adds value, doesn't it? A lot of value. But I think he's a player for West Coast that, yes, he's playing off the back half at the moment. He's doing a great job. He's working hard, and he's having a good year in terms of his intercept numbers. But I think he's a guy that they'd love to push back up in towards the middle of the ground once they start to recruit and shape their side over the next 2 or 3 year period.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like a big body midfielder. He played most of his junior footy as a defender, so that's where he's still comfortable at the moment. But he's made some good runs out of defence.
Yeah, it's been solid
today, hasn't he?
He has.
Well, let's see if anything changes here in the third quarter. Your child was thrilling at the start of the second term. Harley Reid wandering around. Get ready for the third term. Meek again, controlled the space, got the tap down clean to Newcomb. Huswaite on the back foot, but getting it out to Amon. And Cripps takes care of business from a tackling and pressure point of view, which is, as Jono said, something where the Eagles need to lift.
With Jack Graham starting on the bench here in the third quarter for West Coast, I feel like that they should just throw him to Newcomb and just tie him away completely around the footy because he's dominating.
Flynn, out wide, Owies, hard to contain the footy. This way got the handball with directions, battle back to Sicily, so rip the triangle to effect. Meek in amongst a couple of Eagles. Baker, instant handball, Hoff to half forward, Owies. He's given away the free, or it was against Harley.
It was against Harley because Owies was coming back with the flight and just pushed him into him. You've got to be careful with that movement. Sicily just having a word to him now about that.
More on the bounce to D'Ambrosio. Tries to brush off Duggan with success. Darts from half-back. Kicks to Watson. Look at him cover the ground and wrap his hands around it. They fight on there. Is that 50? No. Oh, he's parted to Weddle. So the handballs are strung together, and then Ginnivan with a centering kick, which didn't miss its mark. McDonald didn't really have to move a muscle.
No, that kick was beautiful from Ginnivan. It really was. He knows it.
Yeah, he's admiring.
But what about, we spoke pre-game around the small forwards for Hawthorn and putting together a full game, and I think the Wizard is one that is starting to really produce an excellent game of football. His first half was strong, actively involved in both facets, offense and defense.
So Connor McDonald has had 2 misses and now a third. It's not happening for him in front of the sticks. It was the first quarter at that end of the ground where all the problems were with their goal kicking. So confirmation of that. Sub, as Sarah mentioned, Jack Scrimshaw replaced by Bailey McDonald. It's his first chance to play senior AFL footy for a couple of years. Cole. Standoff, eventually Waterman leaps, but Barris made it difficult for him. Impey, Harley Reid, twisting, turning with some effect, but the handball straight to Barris, and then to Huswaite. Tall young midfielder. Speaking of tall, Joel. Watson is deep. But Hardwick is the targeted man, although Watson was also in the line of fire. It goes out of bounds.
Hands up. Hit it to me.
He's not taking the ruck, is he?
No.
Would he be
Like
the
that.
smallest ruckman of all
I
time?
think so. I think I saw Boomer Harvey in the ruck once.
Well, it was the old third man up days, they don't count. Meek with the forehand. Jimby, sky high. Sicily, got side of it. Hawks are coming again, shuffling through the options in his mind. He's inclined to go as long as he can. Hardwick, first hands on it, great spin and balance from Baker to Duggan, and they're away. Hutchinson out to the wing. It's going to be out of reach for Waterman.
I knew I seen it with Bruno Harvey. 432 games, 2 hit-outs. Really?
You are kidding, John. Everyone can use Google now, can't they? As Moore takes the mark. Back up to the wing. To Newcomb. Safely into the middle. Impey needed the fancy footwork, and he provided it, but then the handball a little rushed. Reed to Waterman. Can they piece this together without losing control of the footy? Hamish Reed gave it to Hutchinson, who just... He went for the gap, he didn't quite emerge. So now it's Hawthorn's turn. Huswick, Ginnivan, creating havoc. Joel McGovern, Joel.
It was a good change up with the kick inside 450 on that occasion because McGovern had read that the ball was going to go more corridor to a Hawthorn player. There was a nice little change up. Teed up Joel, had to go wider, but it was nice. I like Huswick's left foot. He's had a couple of rippers.
So Joel, he took flight with marks and goals in the second term. Looking to kick his third for the third time this year. Minimum looking effort. Normally you get a better result than that from Avio Joel. So we're back to where we were in the first quarter with Hawthorn crooked with their shots. Allen, and they safely get with a reasonable amount of speed on the footy out to Owies. The Eagles have it on the wing. Waterman, Barris didn't take his eyes off it. Waterman had a bit of a chance to line up his old teammate there.
It's an excellent spoil, it really is, because likely the other way, Waterman had a chance to line up and drive the knee and protect himself in the marking contest as well.
Just had a coaching switch on the boundary. Sam Mitchell in, Brett Ratton heading up to the coach's box. They even high-fived on the way through.
Impressive. Warple captured. Was that a handball? No, it wasn't. Hutchinson. There's the throw. Nice little handoff. Here comes Liam Ryan, but Flynn, there's a push, and it's a Hawthorn push.
Giving away a few like that today. The West Coast Eagles now put themselves in a really strong position. Good entry, competitive in the air. They just give away an easy free kick from a push.
Out for Watson on the bounce. It got a little awkward. Stays in. Harley Reid, he puts the first on. And one wouldn't be denied though. Turns it back the Hawthorn way, and that's high contact on Bailey McDonald.
The Reid gave away the little free kick then. Hit on.
Get it back here.
Watson.
Rusty. To Cole. Joe Nutt. Doesn't go for the long range shot. Tees it up again. Harley Reid did all the hard work. Owies came through with a line to try and snap the ball, and he'd been able to snaffle it up, but he couldn't.
He just looks like a player down on confidence, a bit frustrated, Harley Reid. Yeah, just not quite timing that run and jump at the footy.
After the ruck wrestle, Cripps, Meek, throwing his weight around. Disorientated for a moment. Battle. Joel up at half back to try and give him the way out. Oscar Allen stays in, and the pressure was immense and much appreciated by the Hawthorn fans. Would you be thinking about Oscar Allen at this stage, moving him forward, or do you think he's better just to have stay where he is?
Well, I don't think he's going to add anything different to the forward half of the ground. So with the players they've currently got in that position, so I'd be sort of leaving it as is at the moment.
McKenzie, that step from Ward, but well done by Davis. Back to Flynn. Waterman had to wait for it to bounce. Which way will it turn? Lovely tap from Reed to Ryan. Finds his radar and dribbles one through.
Yeah, I think you're right, John. I think it's down back where he stays. I don't even mind the idea of going a bit smaller in the forward half. Now, Hawthorn have got a pretty reasonable sized defensive group, so like we just saw with that entry, is it a bit of a switch to the smaller forward line where you just get it in, you present, you compete, you bring it to predictable parts of the ground that, you know, guys like Liam Ryan, Cripps can get involved at the fall of the ball. So I wouldn't mind seeing him just going a bit small, just testing him, just try something, get the ball in dirty. It's okay. Compete in the air and bring it to predictable spots.
And staying back for now. Ryan's kicked his second, which is good news for everyone except Hawthorn supporters. It is great to see Liam Ryan starting to look like the player that we know he can be.
I'd bring Noah Long on as quick as possible as well. Get a spark around the footy and up forward like you're talking about, Hawk.
Oh, Hutchinson turned and really just turned into trouble into me. Off, jars out. Quick kick forward from Cripps up amongst it. Lunge again from Reed. The two Reeds are down there, Archer and Harley. And Archer continues to impress.
I know we hold off with our subs traditionally with the way that it's looked at, but a team that is 30 odd points down, and you might as well give some decent game time in.
And you're looking for the spark too, you're right. So is it Archer Reed? Who's been impressive? He's competed ahead of the ball. Does he come off and we look at going for a smaller forward line for West Coast?
Ryan was the danger, and the Hawks were well aware of that. Hoff, here he is again, Liam Ryan, buzzing around. Was he taken without the footy? No. Ward, camped in the back pocket. David a Warple. As soon as he got it, he pivots and turns and kicks, and there's maybe some downfield. Is Harley again the offender? Yeah. Cantankerous at the moment. Joel has the footy, which is pleasing the Hawthorn fans. 9 disposals, 2 goals, 1. There's the afters from Harley. Up along the wing and now beyond. Connor McDonald. Inside it goes to Moore. Wasn't going to let that go. Dylan Moore with the mark.
Dated all the way back to the Harley Reid incident. Look, there wasn't much in it, Jono, but there's just enough to be able to give a free kick downfield where Jeremy McGovern was in a great position, took the mark, and they would have been other teams are back inside forward 50. Fast forward 20 seconds, and we're looking at Dylan Moore. A pretty reliable set shot at goal. No, this end hasn't been overly favourable for him, but I know.
Hasn't gone in the past 3 weeks either. We're so used to him just going back and slotting them through, but not today. It's missed everything. Harley Reid and James Sicily together, what a pair they are. It's all like transferring Sicily back with 6 or 7 years with his demeanour too, isn't it?
I think that'd be good for each other.
Did you say no good or good?
I think that'd be good for each other.
Okay. Allen's kick. Oh, Weddle and Newcomb got the taste for the high-flying stuff. To the beauty of the first half. Back to Amon, was about to let rip. Instead goes to McKenzie. Eyes up into the 50. Goes long. Hardwick desperate to get there. He was so desperate he overran it. Moore, he cannot miss this one. Whoa, through it goes. Up into the 3rd tier.
I'm a massive fan of Dylan Moore. He's a 20 disposal 2-goal player most weeks, and that's what I love about him. His work rate, his connection up and down the ground. He gets up, supports the fence, and then next thing he's bobbing up inside forward 50 all alone, just on pure pure work rate. A couple of opportunities here, but Mackenzie's a kicker. You've got to understand that from an opposition point of view. And that number's everywhere, didn't they, Hawk? At ground level here. You look at Moore and his work rate, he's just let go by his direct opponent who pauses on his heels.
Yeah, it's a great point, Joe. All quality, good sides have great small forwards. Great small forwards that can get up the ground, impact both for the midfield and down forward in front of goals.
It was only All-Australian last year in what was a tremendous apparent rebirth of the Hawthorn Footy Club. Not that they'd been away for that long, as we said, 10 years since their last flag. All bouncing every which way. Baker with his trademark determination. 14 disposals today, only used it by hand. Chol now with the employment in the ruck. Eamon gets into his step. Weddle is the target, turned at just the right moment. Takes the mark low down. There's good hair going between both of them, isn't there? They're both would-be Derms almost. Weddle has his number.
He does.
And a bit of his hair.
Would be happy that he's in the 23.
Can you kick it 60? Can you kick it straight? Can do. Just did it. Where will he end up, Josh Weddle, or won't he ever have a true home?
I think it's okay if he doesn't. We see more and more players across the competition not naturally find an actual home. So what a luxury for Sam Mitchell and his coaching staff to be able to have someone of his height and weight and speed to be able to play on a Jeremy Cameron in the back line, to be able to run with a Marcus Bontempelli through the midfield, and then to be able to go forward and hit the scoreboard.
Well, you played with one for 10 plus years, Hawk, in Mark Bitsav, so he was able to play in all positions on the ground, and that's exactly where Weddle is heading, and it's such a huge luxury for a coach to be able to have that.
15 marks, inside 50 to 3. Hard to win games of footy. And you've only taken 3 and the opposition's had 15 inside the forward 50. Jam forward again. Waterman not far away. Barris, Morrison, Battle, Sicily. Floating the handball. Awkward for Morrison to get control of it. He did, but turned it straight back over. Hewitt to Graham.
Had a little bit more time there, Graham. Could have taken the steadying step to actually hit the ball with a bit more force and accuracy. There's Bailey McDonald kicking it out. Good wrap around.
Yep. Gets it back. Blast goes out to the wing. Marking contest more, chugging quickly. Up to Gunston. Waited for Connor McDonald this time. Guess who's in the frame? Chol!
Can't wait to see that front square again from Dylan Moore. That was pure. Sometimes you hit it at speed and it just falls your way nicely.
What's he doing here? He's going back to take the shot. It just looked like he had the notion that not about how to roll around, but he's going to take his time. He's had the perfect sight up. He's over-adjusted. He just wants to raise that sign for a third time. From set shots. So the damage could have been significantly greater. Super short to Baker, but it does go to required. He's working overtime at the moment all over the field. Hutchinson for possession 12. playing his 11th game. Now to Oscar Allen. See the worry look in his eyes as, am I going to kick this next? Down the line is what he takes, pushing and shoving, and Whittle, he doesn't bother with any of that, flew in. Hutchinson fired out the handball, got it to Waterman as a pokey number inside 50. Awkward for Archer Reed, outside for Battle. Oh, Morrison missed by about 2 metres.
Just a little bobble on the hand there from Morrison as he was looking to handball and release to Sicily, and they would have been on their way again, the Hawks.
Still just under 8 minutes remaining. Flynn did that well. Off to Graham. Snapped it like he was shooting for goal. Sicily did enough in the air. Waterman, he takes Barris for a walk with him. Wouldn't be denied the former Eagle. No easy go for Waterman here, but they are close to goal. So the margin sits at 43. Low scoring third term. The Hawks with 2 goals, 3. Could easily have been 4 or 5. The Eagles have 1 and looking for a second. Hewitt showed last week he was capable. Couldn't quite get out. Almost lost the lot. And he turned around and put on a great catch from McKenzie.
We'd love to see him score from now. This is the first stoppage in a row. Hawk, you spoke about this because it allows them to sort of set up well behind the ball, but also give them the best opportunity to convert in front of goal in an area that Hawthorn haven't been great at this season.
Open up a big cavity of space behind the ruckman here.
And Cripps was on the move to try and fill it, but the footy went the other way to Warple. Wobbles back to the wing. Gunston had to spoil in the end to deny McGovern. Marek fired out the handball at very close range to Cole.
They tried to get it there as well. Flynn tried to get it over the back, but Meek was just too good in that stoppage.
The Eagles have scored only 33 and 26 points their last 2 games against the Hawks. They're on 26 right now. Chance to add to that total. Waterman just for a moment, and that is now passed. Somehow
Must have got a handball to it.
whistle. Yeah, must have just found an escape clause in all of that. He continues to have the edge of the contest down to Warple. Carrying a big load at the moment. Obviously, that Connor Nash today, as we mentioned earlier, in addition to Will Day. Both right on top of that time, but Warple still extracted it, and Baker dropped into the right place to sabotage that move out of defence. Merrick was trying to demand the ball to the left, but Baker says, let's take the plunge now. Send it down to full forward. Reed got both hands wrapped around it. From one Reed to another. Harley! That's better. That's more like it. Bit of instinctive footy to make you feel good about the game again.
Yeah, it certainly was a beautiful finish by Harley. He's just spent a couple of minutes on the bench after starting the quarter down in the forward line, so gets a breather. He's a player that's going to play on burst and certainly on instinct as well, but he's come back on a couple of minutes ago, gone straight back into the midfield. And had an impact straight away, so a lovely finish. He's staying in and around and involved in the contest, which is, I think, where I like him the most. Short burst for Harley Reid in the CBs and as a midfielder, and then not be afraid to either play deep or go and have a spell on the bench.
So, on the scoreboard at least, a better quarter by the Eagles. 2-3 to 2-1. They've only won 2 quarters for the year and drawn 1. So that would be a mini goal for the coach.
Oh, it would be, because he would have hit him between the eyes at half time, because that second quarter from West Coast wasn't great. It's one of their worst for the season so far.
Newcomb.
So it's better. It's better pressure around the ball. They only laid a couple of tackles for the quarter. So that's a throw. It's a good one too.
Flynn. lateral leap at the front. Jeff charging through McDonald to the outside. And a look over the left shoulder. Screws it back to Owies. And here's an opportunity for West Coast. Try and win a quarter. Still 5.5 minutes to go, and he puts it through, but have the advantage for the third term. Our only other two quarter wins were first quarter wins. He's coming in, 3 goals, 3 today. The right side of the post. Always joins the list of goal kickers for the West Coast Eagles. And Martin is back to 31 points.
Back into the middle of the ground.
Go to you, Messa.
It's borderline. And then the leader off the back of it. But well done to West Coast here. Good work by Owie. Slipped in behind.
And
He's able to get it over the top.
a great kick by Hunt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To be under pressure and then to be able to screw it back to a predictable part of the ground. Almost set play like, but getting back to Harley. You've got to be awfully careful with those stray ones, particularly when you can get a bit frustrated.
Lewis hasn't managed to kick multiple goals yet in the new colours. Oh, that was flying out too by Reid Hutchinson. So they're having a little moment or two here, the West Coast Eagles. And still it continues. Hunted down by Hewitt with intent. Flicks it out. Graham couldn't get out. He could see goal. He had ball in hand, but just couldn't put the two together. Amon led the charge.
Warple just hanging on as well. Desperation from Warple just to slow him up a little bit, which allowed Amon to complete the task.
Possession 17 for James Warple. Back to the middle. Meek not quite in the air. Allen and then Hillel Davis, but the Hawks win the day. Hustwaite to an open forward 50. Nice collect and turn from Hardwick, but Jimby read the cues well. And that's an excellent tackle and a real win there. Someone as experienced and manoeuvrable as Hardwick.
Well, the pressure's up to 194 for the quarter. It's the highest it's been for the entire game, and they're getting results off the back of it.
Jack Williams the target. Myrtle had him covered in the air. Stays in and then fumbled over by Cripps. Most experienced Eagle, Jamie Cripps, 257 games. Ruben Jimby still just starting out in relative terms, getting close to his 50th game. Three minutes 42 remaining. Ward got the hands clear to enable him to handball to Hustwaite. Down the line again. Jimby from the side. Newcomb was tremendous in his intent, but it's good from Allen.
That's tackle number 18 now for the quarter for West Coast. So you can see what it does, the energy it actually brings around the group.
Way out for Davis. Hustwaite. Hewitt. Meek. Claimed by Graham. Harley Reid couldn't quite work it out, but now the assistance from Hawthorn. The handball went straight back to Morrison, who got it in return from Meek. Suddenly the pressure evaporated. Long to fall forward, and to Gunston. Enough purchase for Jack Gunston. He's going to line up for his third. Great work from Harry Morrison, who comes from the ground. Multiple efforts out at half forward to enable Jack Gunston, who's in one of the hottest patches of form of any player at the moment in the competition. I cannot believe he has missed that one. Another day where he could have had a big bag, instead it's just a couple. And still the Eagles are in front in the quarter. Harris, a number of hands are up. Hoff got the run of the ball, but Lost it just as quickly. Westwaite's hands were creative. To McKenzie and now to Joel. More skittled past. Gunston again, being watched like a hawk by McGovern. Got clear, leads up to the footy.
Seriously good work from Gunston. 4 or 5 efforts to get himself into space.
There was a hand
on that
over, but
occasion.
couldn't stop him. And he's probably more likely to kick this one in some ways. Showed it ready with a beautiful kick earlier on. We mentioned 10 years ago, kicked 4 goals in the grand final. Sam Mitchell got Northwood medal votes that day as well. No, it's missing also. In fact, it's up there. Not even energy to show for it. So this quarter, the Eagles 3-1, lead the Hawks 2-4. Can they hold on? They're just their 3rd quarter of the season. 90 seconds left. Weddle in front, Jack Williams. Bailey McDonald was going down the stairs. Was he tackled high? No. Sort of a mini version of the mullet there too.
They're very, very popular these days, aren't they?
You would have had a mullet as a young fella in Finley, wouldn't you, Tom?
I tried one as a 17-year-old. It didn't work.
Any photos of that? We'll find one. Harley Reid, that's a free kick for Harley as the crowd recognised that. Let him know what they thought. Oscar Allen, that's very wide. He was hunting for Liam Ryan, but that would have been too much.
No, it would have been played. It was a mark. It was inside the lines. That's just a fumble from Ryan.
Captain and coach in conference. Overall lead is just 32 points. A long tackle from Reid went unwhistled. He's frustrated as to why. Instead, it's a high ball. Joel, seen off by Allen. Good fist to him. This is a much better performance from the Eagles this quarter. Reid to Hoff. The goals were there for him, and he just couldn't quite take them.
Well, into the midfield, Hoff in this game, and he's had the 19 disposals now. It would have been nice for him to kick that one breaking 50. I think McQualter will be happy that there's something to build on here potentially from a midfield point of view.
Battle gives that plenty. Joel climbing high again.
Meek has been under 2 or 3 hangers today.
No wonder he gets up limping.
Nicely.
And they're on the move. Dylan Moore up to half forward. Hardwick. And Johnston. Finally they get one through. On his 3rd attempt for the quarter. Jack has kicked his 3rd goal. And the Hawks, largely due to that man, are going to win the quarter.
That's beautiful. He gives himself great separation on his opponent. Unfortunately for Lloyd, he's got him twice in the back of the head. And if Marbiol's got a sore knee, I'm sure Lloyd Meek's head's even sorer. So again, you know, we're seeing the development of a pretty crucial player for Hawthorn. If they're going to go anywhere this year, he's a player that really needs to keep improving and be that consistent player that they're looking for up forward.
Kelsha there not too far away from returning.
That's right. That's exciting for the Hawks fans as well.
Siren sounds. So the Eagles a much better quarter. They almost outscored the Hawks, but almost doesn't cut it. Hawthorn's lead now is 37 points. W. Charles having one of his most productive and exciting games of the season. The Hawks have the game under their command. They lead by 37 points. Not perfect, certainly in front of goal for Sam Mitchell. There's a quarter to go to improve on all of that.
Yeah, much improved third quarter by the West Coast Eagles, and the highlight was this goal to number 1 draft pick Harley Reid. They do trail it by 37 points, but some increased tackle pressure certainly upped the intensity for the visitors, and that goal, something to have Eagles fans smiling. 12-14, the Hawks 7-7, the West Coast Eagles. As I throw things upstairs, guys, you've got to focus on the little wins for Andrew McCalter and the things the Eagles are doing well, and there are a couple of things that he'd be pleased with.
Yeah, certainly will, Jonesy. 31 West Coast forward half intercepts, which is the most of any side up until three-quarter time. So they're getting their pressure game back to a level that they can compete and almost be in front. So, and the other part is the clearance, which they've probably been handed a little bit of a lesson. They won that quarter 12-8. So some improving signs, and it's just a matter now of how they can finish the game off. Like they're not in a necessarily winnable position, but they can get so much out of the next 30 minutes of football.
1 quarter out of 3 where they're able to bring it together, and they would have assessed it at half time. I'm sure Andrew McCalter would have had a good hard word to them about where they were at with the things you're talking about, Tom. So they did rectify it. They need to go again and not let this game really blow out. They bridged the gap a fair bit in terms of what we saw in that third quarter. Can they do it again to finish? And for the Hawks, this is a big quarter for the Hawks as well. Not just to rest on the fact that we haven't won for a couple of weeks. We are looking like we're going to get the victory today, but it's the way they finish off as a club as well. There's been some great performances from some individuals today. I think the small forwards are back in the form that Sam Mitchell will be really happy with as well. They need to finish off this strong.
And wouldn't they like to kick straight in this last quarter?
From Barris, full forward against Oscar Allen.
Free kick.
I like that, Hawk. I'm sort of looking both ways, going who's going which way, but
It was a little disorientating, wasn't it? To be eyed it off, but McGovern, he's still in the back line.
that's a move. Normally that's the Sicily move forward, but he's staying back this afternoon.
He doesn't necessarily strike me as a key forward in the making. Tom Barris.
I think he catches the Eagles out if it's fast and it's off turnover.
Maybe it's a message from the coach saying if you blokes can't kick straight, I'll turn things around. Flynn, impressive in the air. Thanks for the better of him today. The central kick could get dangerous.
You talk about little wins, Jono, and that's one there. For West Coast, Flynn, he's been outpointed by Lloyd Meek for the most of the day in the contest, but in and around the ground as well. So it's interesting to watch how that battle unfolds.
Ambrosio angles the kick, sets a bit of a chase. Moore's legs were pumping and his commitment unquestioned.
Love that from Dylan Moore. Now he's up and going again.
Morrison, McDonald, and Moore. He went past for Moore again, but Sicily says no. Tom Barris has 1 career goal. Watson outsides on that occasion. As those efforts in the box of
It's good eyes on it the whole way as well.
William Baker. After some hesitation, you can see the result of the kick. An awkward number for Owies to try and get hold of. McDonald showing the dash that got him in the team. Gets it forward. Eye contact. McKenzie takes off. Joel all on his own. McGovern was trying to cover multiple bases and simply couldn't this time. So Navio is going to line up again. Mixed bag from him as far as his goal kicking today. Most of the shots he's missed have been from angle. And it's pretty severe here. So 2 goals to child. No. Floats all the way across. Gunston suddenly just had to get his footing. He found it.
The way he reaches up the pack is outstanding. Well, he lets the bigger boys go to work in the contest, and yeah, it falls his way at the back. But he just reads that this is the spot that's most likely to land. Gets a nice touch on it, finds space, one step. Beautiful finish.
Giving the benefit of the doubt there, Jono, he has had a look inside. Often forwards get criticised a little bit for late games and lighting the eyes up when they get a shot at goal, but he looked inside, Jack. One of the ultimate team players. He's going to end up finishing with not a bad day out here.
Well, he's up to 498 goals in his career, so that's very doable.
Let's get him to 500 today.
Aim on to McKenzie. Oh, bounces the Eagles' way to Flynn, and they line up. Harley Reid presses that one at goal and hits the mark. He's got a couple now.
They're spending a bit more time inside forward 50 has Harley Reid. 13 disposals now, a couple of goals, kicking 50%, but that was good pressure. Again, you spoke, Hawk, in regards to the little wins in that third quarter. Well, that's what it was about. It was about the turnover in the right part of the ground, because they found space, goal side.
Yeah, and Harley's had a couple of opportunities that he's been involved in plays, and the ball's got past him, and he hasn't wanted to push up the ground and help defend and help
put the body on then?
reconnect back with the attacking chain or defending chain, but he came back to the football, got himself involved, which allowed him to create space to move in front.
Going forward again, McKenzie. Up that eyed it off, but couldn't take the mark. Or now it's a scramble. It's the umpire. Let's continue for a little longer. Escape that time for Murray. He's had a solid day, 21 disposals, certainly in terms of numbers. That's when you get a few kick-ins when the opposition has been as off as Hawthorn have in front of the goals. Came out the back unexpectedly to Gunston, who he went to battle. I'm sure that will be in Hawthorn's mind, and to Paris, I should say.
The West Coast Eagles have made their sub. Noah Long is on. Hamish Davis is off.
Thank you, Sarah. Meek, Warple, Newcomb. He got set. Fine snap. Got all the strings to his bow as a midfielder, hasn't he? Joe Newcomb, tough as they come, good overhead, and can sniff out a goal as well.
Yeah, he's come off for a well-deserved rest, Joe Newcomb, but the thing that is becoming more and more evident is the fact of how well-drilled Hawthorn are. Now, you can just see them constantly setting up Newcomb behind the ball for that forward 50 stoppage. As well as how they set up behind the ball. So that allows them to get that space, the midfield on the fly, to be able to almost set play it back to John Newcomb, who was in time and space. So the experience of Hawthorn really starting to shine here.
I love the game of Lloyd Meek as well. He's dominated the ruck. It was a beautiful tap to Warple on that occasion. He was able to set up the goal.
10 score involvements.
Huge game.
All day, very interested onlooker down at bench level. Ian McDonald again. What a pick up, and he takes off. Confused them a little by the angle he took to. Watson gets it a second time, out on the wing. This time with the handball, and he might not be done yet. Trying to get involved in the chain again. Impey had a little glance to the inside. But his kick failed him and goes to Hop. Again, and Harvard just comfortably steps in front of Cripps and Shot that off. Watson is all go now. Little pop kick. Lands with Connor McDonald. Thumping tackle. Jimmy gets him to ground. And then we go on with it for a little while. Tom Barris at the top of the goal square. Just one goal in his AFL career. McGovern to Harley Reid. To the outside, Hoff knew he was going to find Baker. Crippled as he kicked it from the desperation of Moore. Aswag, Ginnivan, Ward. It's a long list of behind kickers for the Hawks today. A lot of them have kicked a goal as well. McGovern, beautifully spotted.
11 behind kickers today.
To Owies. Great spread of behind kickers today, coach.
Including Rush with a couple.
Oh, Barish getting up the ground. Oscarella maybe taking the opportunity to go wandering as well. Williams handball over the top. Hutchinson had a lot to do to make that work off the outside of the right boot. Sends his apologies.
Yeah, it was Ginnivan's pressure there, wasn't it? We talked about the fact that he plays so well in the VFL last week, and pressure was the highlight of his game. Great to see a player like him be able to finish and still be doing that this time of the match.
Ward's been one of the beneficiaries of the Hawthorn midfield injuries in terms of getting opportunity. To Weddle, to McKenzie. Ahead there's Watson and there's Chol. Barris is also chugging back to the forward 50. Took a little time on the way through. Jimmy comes marching out and rose on the wave, but couldn't bring the ball down. Marek back to Reid. He had to put it in reverse. He got a high tackle. There's troubles. It's been a more energetic performance from Harley Reid in the second half.
Agree, Hutto.
Kicked a couple of goals as well, as we've seen. McGovern toiling away all day. Now, Jaden Hunt. Possession 15. Down the line. Waterman broke clear of Battle just for a moment, but had Hardwick to deal with as well. And then Battle takes off. Handball to Ward. On return. Goes to the former Saint. Up to the wing. Flynn puts his big body in the road. Takes the mark. Quickly gets it off to Graham and then to Hunt. So the Eagles pressing again. A more central option. It was a good one too. Williams had every opportunity but just couldn't drag it down. Ward seems to be everywhere where the footy is in his final turn. To Moore. And they have the escape route. Ginnivan. Up to the wing to Morrison. Chol and Gunston, who's had a little break, and back inside the forward 50 when it arrives, which is not far away. Warple, Connor McDonald. Oh, wasn't on the same wavelength. Fell short. Oscar Allen read the play well and kept on running. He's left his man. A little adventurous to the wing. Jack Williams plays it back. Owies fooled them once and then a second time. Sicily unmoved by Cripps. Play on the call, not anymore. Great pressure by Cripps, and that was the end for Hardwick.
While Sicily was trying to get front on contact, free kick, he just sort of stood there and was hoping that his direct opponent would sort of just go right through him, so therefore he'd win the free kick for the Hawks. I think Cripps played that pretty well, and the second effort to get up and create another tackle was excellent.
Just the one behind for the day. Looks like he's going to go around the corner. With success. That's the Eagles' first goal of the final, second goal of the final term.
Well, here's the kick from Owies that goes up. Oh, he turned and faced the ball. That's excellent. Great technique from Cripps, and then a follow up there. It was a great effort. Keep your feet in the contest and you stay involved. That's exactly what he did on that occasion. And then went back and finished it.
Always been a very hard worker, hasn't he? He's laid 7 tackles today.
He's a solid contributor, has been throughout their excellent years, as well as years when they've been down a little bit. You know what you're getting from that man on screen week in, week out.
242nd game for West Coast, of course, starting with the Saints. The Hawks have almost brought up the ton. Newcomb fended off Harley Reid. Look at Ward, even though he was going to his right-hand side, so that enables him to handball forward to Chol, who had an age to give it again. Oh, crunch. Brett Duggan innovated with his kick, but fell short, and Cole picked up the remnants, kicked to the wing. Oh, he couldn't quite get high enough.
He jumped up quick, but he is sore.
Yeah, Morrison takes the mark. Here's a look at what happened to Jack.
It was just body on body, thankfully. Both players could have been a head clash easily on that occasion.
Threatening to switch. Westway has had 23 disposals. His return to the Hawthorn team.
It's been solid. His use of the ball's been pretty good as well.
Had to really bide his time. They've been so impressed with his pre-season and his improvements. Oh, Weddle didn't jump really that time, didn't have to. Takes the mark. Into the pocket. Moore's waiting for the crumbs. Gunston would prefer the mark. All free kick.
Here we go. 499 coming up. Bro.
He's had a sighter here from here about 10 minutes ago, though, Johnny, right?
He's having a big day, but it could have been so much bigger.
I actually think Weddle was trying to use Barras in the goal square, but not being the natural form that he is, he's a little bit stationary, not quite knowing what to do in that certain position.
What's the high ball in?
It'll be interesting to hear Mitch's explanation of the Barras move, won't it? Cole. Hawks brought up the 100, not in the way they might have imagined. Out to the wing. Flynn, with a landmark for them out there to spot on the way out. So the margin is 39 points. Hawks could have done with a big percentage boost. Liam Ryan charging out, can't take the mark. Dewar at the front, but confronted by Hawks everywhere. Hardwick back in defence there. Morrison knew he was about to get crunched, but didn't take a backward step.
Excellent play. And that's just understanding what's happening around you as a player. Morrison on that occasion. It's made the smart play to be able to tap that forward, keep the ball alive, and then be able to protect himself on the hit.
Newcomb again, showing his in-tight skills this time. Ward, still the appetite for more possessions. Weddle taking on all comers. Newcomb calmly back to Ward again. Possession 20. And again, it was a case of standing ground. McDonald's going to get 50 for his bravery. Merrick told that he wasn't down the ball.
Come clear out, please. Brian, clear out, please. Thank you.
Well, there's the indignity of the 50s. Just told to clear out, please. So Connor McDonald was one of the culprits as far as kicking straight earlier today. Puts that through, couldn't miss.
Well, he had to stand under the high ball. And it was a good effort.
Do you have a celebration when you get a 50 goal touching with a goal square? You're allowed to have. Let's get down to Sarah.
The doctor's just been chatting to Jack Ginnivan, who's given a big smile, so it looks as if he is okay. Carl Amon has been down in the rooms with the doctors for more than 10 minutes. The club still tight-lipped as to what the problem is there, but at the moment it looks like Jack Ginnivan is good and still a word on Carl Amon.
Well, there's the three players that are on the bench with Amon downstairs, as Sarah just mentioned. So we'll wait to get some feedback from the Hawks on that particular player. Did you like the celebration, Ho?
Well, was it a violin?
I think it was. Looked that way.
Maybe aimed at the Eagles fans behind the goals. Ken Ryan was coming out hard, but the juggling mark taken by Archer Reid.
Clear out, please. Matt.
And he's certainly shown some traits in his his game so far this year, and at times today he's competed pretty well, doesn't have big numbers.
No, he doesn't, but he's playing on some pretty handy players back there. He's beaten James Sicily one-on-one, when not too many players actually do.
Best of 2 goals so far this year against Fremantle. He comes in and he's been watching the Hawks.
That's a couple of set shots that he's missed today.
Set shots for Hawthorn, 7-12. Change of mind from Hardwick. Battle backing back. Back a little further.
Get another 26 disposals today. Josh Battle.
Barris is
Racking him up, doesn't he, as a key defender.
So Mitchell still has Barris down in defence. So he and McGovern are in the same area of the ground again, as they have been for so many years. Usually in the same colours, no more, of course.
Well, he tried to come off before, and Sam Mitchell sent him straight back down to the goal square.
He's not doing a lot of running in this quarter, is he?
His only goal came against the Gold Coast at the start of 2022.
So Jack Gunston still just trotting around. He's on 498 goals in his career, which is an excellent effort.
More.
Backing out here, through the space, right?
14 disposals today.
So Hawks pressure still at 200, which is fantastic when they've been in control of the game for the entirety. Lloyd Meek up over 150 ranking points now. He's dominated this game.
Little dance and then a kick back to McGovern and Scholl.
So next best is Morrison with 107 and Moore at 106. They're the 3 players over 100 so far when you look at ranking points, but Meek's been sensational.
Carl Amon is at least back out on the bench, sitting up next to Jack Scrimshaw, subbed off earlier with concussion. Well, Harley Weir just pinched it off his teammate in Hunt. Works one around the corner. Bit of a standoff for the bounce. Came back to Archery, and it's just the required distance and just inside the boundary line. And Noah Long has the footy.
There's only been on in this last quarter. Noah Long, 1 touch so far. See if he can nail a goal.
Round he goes. The left won't quite do it for him. Oh, Liam Ryan will walk right in and kick right through. And he's put his third up.
It's just front square craft, that's all it is on that occasion. He just ran to the right spot and put himself with the best opportunity to win the footy. And as you do, this ball was worked straight back towards him. Good contest here as well. It's a bad ball from Hardwick trying the double fister to get it across. But it falls your way. You put yourself in the right spot, it can fall your way. And it did that time for Liam Ryan.
Sarah?
Carl Amon is out of the game with concussion, so the Hawks play Richmond at the MCG next week. That's a couple of players that will miss, with Amon and also Scrimshaw ruled out of this with concussion.
He doesn't look too upset at the moment, but going inside again, the Eagles. Hardwick working overtime. Long, the soccer, the ball versus the line, and it's over.
Good on him. I would have liked to have seen it. I would have liked to have seen it early in the third quarter, because when you are down a little bit, bringing a goal on for the last quarter, then he has to run, 15 100s post game when everyone's gone home. Had a chance to get him out there a little bit earlier, a bit more game time on for himself.
So when the rest of the team's back in the flight lounge, he's still running laps here.
Running laps here.
He got the ball to get the right amount of torque on it, didn't he?
Tweak.
Yeah. So back to 32 points. Crowd of 26,000 at Marvel Stadium. Hewitt dumped it back to the middle to Flynn, who's kept working hard all day. Baker never stops to Cole. They extend to that City side. Hooks the kick back into Hutchinson. Here's another who's been pumping those legs all day. Dewitt tries to give them some dash off half back this time. Target was Jack Williams. Ryan waiting for the moment to put a tackle on. It's gone over and out. And again, as the blood rule for Jack Williams, we find that the Eagles have outscored Hawthorn for the quarter. And they're quite able to do that when the siren sounded in the third, but they've got another opportunity here.
Well, that was the second half completely by 3 points, so it's a
Hope there's enough.
good solid from West Coast in regards to that.
Cover up the blood. We've had a lot today.
Yeah, it has been, hasn't it?
Auckland Morrison and Harley Reid, the leading contested possession winners, and a lot of those have been at the contest, as you can see, at the clearance. For Warple and Reid, could see Elijah Hewitt too, showing his talent at the clearance again today. 22 touches last week, a dominant second quarter. Still hunting goals late here, the Eagles. McKenzie, another high ball. We've seen plenty of those today. Oh, Cole did everything but take them out. Ginnivan, Baker, and tied out a quick glance forward. I was hoping that Ryan or Waterman could get on the end of it. 5:28 for Jack Gunston to kick another two and bring up the 500. Or Tom Barris to bring up the two. Both those things quite exciting prospects. Meek. Harley Reid. Into the Hawks nest in the crowd. What do you think the Hawks fans will have thought of this performance today?
They would have been very pleased early, I think. But this second half, just gone through the motions a little bit.
Harris right up the ground. Quickly runs back to the goal square as the Hawks win it through D'Ambrosio to half forward. McGovern, a hard man to get past. And again, worked in tandem with Baker. And then Cole found it hard to Hewitt. Ward sensing an opportunity. Oh, he did dive on the ball, but the contact was high.
Yeah, the slip cost Graham there. Just a hand went over the shoulder.
Gunston has the goal square to himself, but there's a middleman involved. Ginnivan, Morrison, Ginnivan. Battles also in the front 50. He wants to get in on the goal-kicking attempt as well. Puts a good tackle on.
All retreated to the goal square, didn't they? The Hawks, Guns in Gunston and Barris. Watson wasn't too far away. Also thinking that Jack Ginnivan was going to win the footy at half forward.
Harris waiting in the goal square. Gunston wrestled free, but had to deal with Allen and McGovern, Cole, and they're in a bit handball game. And now Baker looking for an ally on the way out. Oh, he's full stretch. Same applies for Impey. Back to it, D'Ambrosio. Quickly to Connor McDonald, and then safely to Gunston. Will he or not? No, he passes to Joel. It was a pretty good option, wasn't it, in the end?
It was a great kick in the end. That's what allowed Joel to be able to just hold position, release late, the Hawk, which you're a lead at, and the kick just worked him into the space nicely.
He's waiting for his chance again. He's had to be patient after Joel was so damaging early on.
What's he had, Joel? 2 goals, 2.
Yeah. Missed another one as well, completely. He can raise the sign now to bring up his third goal. Hey!
There we go. Hope Joel gets over to him after the game and gives him a footy. Thanks for your support. So good. Good work by Impey again, over the top. D'Ambrosio, good use by foot. And then it was the Gunston kick that was the most impressive out of all that. You can see there, Joel just takes front position. Kick works him into the space, takes it uncontested.
Yeah, it helps when you've got players on the same page. You look at Watson in the pocket, who was probably in and around that space that Joel ultimately ended up leading into, but his ability to be able to work out of the space back towards goal that makes it a really obvious option for Gunston to use Joel.
Just a reminder, next week it's the Hawthorn centenary match against the team they played in their first ever against Richmond. Sunday, 3:20.
Haven't experienced that earlier in the year with the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Fantastic. The Hawks fans, players, they're all going to love that. Especially with what they've achieved as a
I was
big
going to
club.
say, some of
The amount of premierships.
unbelievable names that Hawthorn fans have been so lucky to watch over the years.
Yep.
Many of them will be there, I'm sure. Can the Eagles muster a late one? Mackenzie haven't stopped racking up the touches, the Hawks. Been a big spread.
We get a week of the famous speeches from all those great coaches they've had over the time.
Oh, Gunston, the moment he kicked that, his hands on his head. Whoops.
On the line.
Tom Barris is still playing full forward, by the way. Jaden Hunt is still running, manoeuvring himself forward so he can kick up towards full forward or half forward. Sicily flew, Weddle, battle.
He hasn't had the day Waterman he'd probably like on the scoreboard, but he tries hard. He's constantly on the move, creating contests.
Yeah, he was a great surprise last year, wasn't he? He was a bit of a phenomenon in his 20 games to kick 53 goals. Now Watson takes off. And Greenlit to go. He's had 2 bounces. And now a third. The Hawks are charging. That makes 4. Over to Gilbert. Let's involve Joel. Watson's in a heat. The footy is going forward to McDonald. McGovern apologising. Not sure that's accepted just yet. Jeremy doesn't seem over.
No, he did the right thing there, Jeremy, because first look, it actually did look like a body check once he released the footy.
Another Hawk player getting treatment. Watson seems okay at first glance. We're watching Connor McDonald. He kicked 3 behinds before he kicked his first goal, and now he's added another major. He doesn't let too many pass without a celebration of some sort.
There's one there.
It does take a lot of work, these celebrations. As we see Watson McGovern incident. Look, it looks okay on first glance, but you just run the risk, don't you, when you make contact like that, in that sort of with that severity.
Interesting, he accepted the hand to lift him up, but he's still at a world or two.
Well,
The doctors are just having a really close look at that vision on the sidelines as well, just to make sure that they're comfortable with the contact that was received.
yeah, there was no head contact as well.
So minute 30. Barris is still in the goal square. Joel and McGovern. McGovern drops the mark. Is it on here for the Hawks? No, it's not. Oh, it still might be. Ginnivan. Can they get it? No, he's legged. He'll have the shot himself.
That's unfortunate for Jeremy McGovern because I feel like he's been solid for the most part of the day. Like if he doesn't play and have the impact that he's having,
Such a big load that he's carrying, isn't it, at the moment?
you know, they could easily be 10. Right, they kick straight as well, I know, but they could easily be 10 goals behind. He's been huge, and a small little mistake inside 50 is ultimately going to cost him. But
they're going to be 50 in arrears if he kicks truly here. It's for 3 pretty swift goals. Ginnivan's provided plenty of spark all day. He's going to need to do a lot. But obeys instructions. He's kicked his second. And the Hawks in the end are going to kick a decent total, 18-16, 124. They have straightened up a little bit in this last quarter. 6 goals, 2, in fact. Here's the replay.
He's been solid, Ginnivan. He's worked hard the entire game, and you can see the response from being dropped, coming back in, and the work rate that was required at AFL level, and he's shown that for his coach today.
Yeah, 16 possessions, 7 tackles, 7 inside 50s too. It's a huge game, and finishes with 2 goals.
So 23 marks inside 450 for the Hawks for the game, which is that's an enormous number. Conversion just hasn't been there, unfortunately, for them.
Is there time for one more? Most likely to be a West Coast goal. Ryan. This goes all the way to full forward. Battle. Waterman. Up. Ambrosio. Sicily. Through multiple hands. Ryan to track it down. Sicily gives it plenty. 10 seconds. They need the ball to bounce their way. And it does. Given. Barris and Joel. Can they sort this out? No, they can't.
Just need a tap.
Barris had to release that and let Charles have it over the top.
Missed by that much. And so the siren will sound. The Hawks far from perfect, but they are winners again after a couple of misses. They had more than their fair share of misses in front of the sticks as the day progressed. But no joy for West Coast this season. Sam Mitchell and Hawthorn register win number 5 for the season, and there were some mighty fine contributors all day to Gunston, with 4 closing in on 500 career goals. The Hawks get it done.
He's in great form, Jack Gunston, and it's great to see. The older statesmen in the competition are showing the way at the moment for a number of footy clubs, and he's one of them that has been able to recapture some of the form of the past.
Yeah, it is so good, right? You're right across the competition. It's a great call, Jono. We've seen experienced players when usually they get to sort of 32, 33 years of age. Often we sort of see the last of them, but their experience on field and their leadership they're providing. You look at Jeremy McGuffin down the other end and the importance that he played. Jamie Cripps a bit the same. So, age is just a number in today's football.
I think Sarah's just about ready for us with the would-be multiple goal kicker.
Yes, I've got Tom Rice with me. What a performance by the team. It was right from the get-go tonight. A really solid team effort. But from a personal perspective, coming up against the West Coast Eagles, how did it feel?
Yeah, it was a bit funny, to be honest with you. I have a lot of love and respect for this footy club, and they gave me my first opportunity in the AFL, and all the players are my lifelong friends. So there's a few nerves this week and a few funny feelings, but I was very happy the Mids were able to put on a show for us and get the ball going forward and make my work a lot easier. 150
games in a premiership event, you'd be forgiven for having a few strange feelings. So was it the lead-up, or once the siren sounded to begin the game, did it stabilise, or was it still a bit quirky?
Nah, you just want to get to the siren, and once the ball bounces, you're playing footy and it feels natural. And I've got a new team, a new bunch of boys who we're building cohesion and a lot of love for each other. So we're all doing it together. So certainly a bit more the leader, boys flying over and staying in the same hotel. So like I said, I've got a lot of love and a lot of respect for Western Australia and West Australian footy and the West Coast Eagles. So it was a bit of an honour to play against those boys today.
Are you a forward now? What was that about at the end there?
I think I will no longer be a forward ever again. Didn't get my hands on the ball. So I think that would probably be the end of my forward career.
It was pretty close at the end there. I mean, I must admit, our commentary team were both cheering on Jack Gunston to the 500 goal mark and you to the 2 goal mark. It was a shame you couldn't get there.
Yeah, I know. I've been searching for the 2 for a little while now, but hopefully I can bag the second in sometime in the future. Maybe another 50-metre penalty. So I got my first one.
Was it a bit odd being down this end of the ground with Jeremy McGovern and being in different jumpers? That must have felt a little strange.
It was a bit strange. I was having a bit of trouble locating my opponent in the first quarter. There's like Eagles and Hawks everywhere, so it was a bit confusing, but Gov taught me everything that I know. He's my best mate. I look up to him a lot, and he's a champion footballer. So it's great to be able to get down and play on him, and I'm just sad I didn't get a touch.
A bit of wayward kicking from the team today. Jack Dunstan, though, he's in wonderful form at the moment. You would have watched him from afar and no doubt admired him from afar over your career. What's it like playing with Jack at close quarters?
He's a real professional, and like a lot of the boys who last that long and kick that many goals, they're just great footballers. There's lots of ways to reduce the game and look at running profiles and all those kinds of things, but he's just good at kicking, good at marking, smart, sees the space, so he's a class act, and it's great to learn off players like him coming into this new footy club.
Well, congratulations. Don't give up on the dream to chase that second goal. I'm sure it's in your future, but good luck when you do return to defence.
Thanks very much.
So it's a win to the Hawks. I'm not going to call it spectacular because it wasn't pretty, but they got the 4 points. That was the most important thing, bouncing back after a couple of losses in recent weeks, and no joy, unfortunately, for West Coast, still yet to have a win this season. So the Anzac appeal round is over, and when the footy's done, that's when bounce begins.
All right, folks, there we go. I tell you what, well, the Eagles gave it a little bit of a shot in that second half, but I think the Hawks, they just took the foot off the pedal. I think it was a bit of a flattering scoreboard. But, of course, the Hawks putting on the final 3 goals of the game, just stretched that margin back out to 50 points. Fantastic win by the Hawks. As I said, they did all they had to do. I think the Eagles still got a fair bit of work. They probably, I don't know, maybe need to do a bit of rebuilding. Strive for a few more players, or look, a lot of their top players are they just not underperforming. That is for sure. But another great win for Hawthorn. Just before we finish off, let's just run through the goal scorers, and we'll show you the player stats. Jack Dunstan ended up with 4 goals today in this match. He's getting close now to his 500th goal in AFL. He's only 1 or 2 off that. Of course, Mayob Chol played good for 3 goals. Connor McDonald with 2 with Jack Ginnivan. James Warple, Josh Weddle, Nick Watson, Jai Newcomb, Harry Morris and Dylan Moore, Blake Hardwick, the single goal scorers for the Hawks. Of course, for the West Coast Eagles, Liam Ryan bobbed up with 3 goals for them. Jake the Mullet Waterman with 2, also with Harley Reid, Jack Williams, Matthew Owies and Noah Long. Of course, Jamie Cripps, single goal scorers there for the Eagles. The top possession getter on the ground today. No one hit the 30. No one hit 30 disposals in the game today. But the disposal count, well, Josh Battle, he got the battle won and done. He was best with 29. Surprising, everyone else is 25 and below. You don't often see that. You normally see a few with hit the 30s and a little bit higher, but Ryan Maverick second best on the disposal count. Of course, the best for the West Coast on 25 disposals there. We'll just roll down a little bit. James Warple ended up with 24. Liam Baker for the Coasters ended up with 24. Sicily not too bad with 23 as well. Harley Reid, not a bad effort. I think when he went up on the ball a little bit, he did do a little bit more. Bit happy with the way he played today. Ended up snagging 2 goals, did Harley Reid off his 19 possessions, 7 kicks, 12 handballs, 3 tackles, 7 clearances. So a much better effort from Harley Reid today, which is good news. Jeremy McGovern, good game there for him, down back with his 17 touches. Always plays a good one. Dylan Moore, not too bad, 17 there for the Hawks. Of course, Jack Ginnivan bobbed up with a couple goals and 1 late with his 17 touches there. Right, let's just roll down. Jack Dunstan, as I said, 14 touches, played another good game. Getting close to that 500 milestone goals, 14 touches, 9 kicks he had, 4 goals too, so not too bad from Gunston. Laid one off to Shoal too, so he had a couple of score assists as well. But there are your player stats. Let's just run through the team stats. It was the Hawks well and truly on top, 81 disposals plus on the Eagles. They just dominated most of the game when they wanted to and when they needed to. There's about 50 kicks and 30 odd more handballs. Inside 50s though, both teams did it reasonably well, 56 to 50, so only 6 ahead for the Hawks, and both teams getting plenty of opportunity there. Disposal efficiency a little bit down for both teams. Efficiency inside 50, Hawks were excellent there, 67.9. That's a high number to round out the game. And of course, 44 for West Coast need to improve. Free kicks, well, I guess if you're a West Coast fan, you obviously thought nothing much went your way today. And you could be right, 24 free kicks to Hawthorn, and of course only 11 to the West Coast, more than doubling, plus 13 there for the Hawks in that aspect. The Hawks, well, the hit-outs and clearances, they won that as well, 59-38. Clearances by 7. Centre clearances, that was a little bit tighter, just plus 3 on the centre clearance and plus 4 on the stoppage clearance. We have a look at the possessions, contested possessions. Hawks a little bit harder. They certainly lift their pressure up a little bit late in that final term. Of course, uncontested. Smashed the Eagles in that by 61. Turnovers pretty high, both teams for the game. Of course, the marks are plus 24 with that uncontested possession for the Hawks. Marks inside 50. That is a mega huge number by the Hawks. They just seem to find gaps, spaces, create spaces. They would lower their eyes and they'd be looking for their leading targets and they would be making space for each other. Therefore, absolutely fantastic. 23 marks inside 50 for the Hawks. That is incredible. Just the 6 for the Eagles. Tell you what, it gives you plenty of opportunities. Season average is only 14 for the Hawks. So they did exceptionally well there. I think they'll be praising that up in the team meeting once they've done. The forwards will be very happy. Tackle count, 79-65. Both teams above average. So that was good to see. And good to see the West Coast Eagles tackles inside 50. They lifted. They ended up winning that number there. 15-11 to the Hawks. Well done, Eagles, for producing that pressure and effort. But another good game here today. Let me just see if I can upload or reload the live ladder. There we go. The live ladder is done now. So after round 7 is completed, of course, we had the other game today, and that was Carlton. Carlton defeated Geelong 14-10-94, defeating the Geelong Cats 12-4-76. So it was 18-point winners to the Carlton Blue Baggers, and of course the Gold Coast come from behind win after Sydney leading at halftime. Got up by 38 points over Sydney today. So there is the ladder after round 7. Collingwood remains on top. Equal points with Brisbane, both teams winning 6 games. Gold Coast Suns sitting in 3rd position on 20 points. Don't forget, folks, they have a game in hand with Essendon. They still have 1 extra game to play. Due to the cyclone, they couldn't play that one. Hawthorn now move up into 4th spot. Equal with the Gold Coast on 20 points. Percentage still climbing a little bit for Hawthorn. They need these games today to boost that percentage up a bit. After playing 7 games, the Hawks have won 5, lost 2. They'll be happy with that today. Of course, 5th on the ladder. Then comes Adelaide Crows, Giants, Geelong Cats, Western Bulldogs. That rounds out the top 8 all on 16 points. Just out of the top 8 is Fremantle and Port Adelaide on 16 points. So nothing in it. If you want to jump up into the top 8, of course, after round 7, we're starting to see a few teams draw away. You don't want to be losing your games here. These are the vital midway games. You want to be getting in touch with and winning, and so you don't want to lose track of the pack. Of course, Carlton then, after their win, jumps them up into 11th position, keeps them in contention with Essendon St Kilda on 12 points. Sydney, Melbourne and Richmond with 2 wins for the season on 8 points. North Melbourne with just the 1 victory on 4. And, of course, West Coast Eagles holding everyone else up. Down the bottom, yet to score a victory this year. I tell you what, folks, it's going to be hard to see the Eagles actually pull off a win. I'm not sure what team they can actually get up over from what we've seen. Even from the West Coast Eagles, they put in dribs and drabs in their quarters, but they don't put the 4 quarters together at the moment. Of course, Hawthorn just cruising along nicely. Next week's game for these 2 teams, of course, for the West Coast Eagles, Well, they might have a chance, but they are playing a home game over there at Optus Stadium in Perth. West Coast Eagles taking on Melbourne. Melbourne are starting to find their form now, so that's going to be a tough game over there for the West Coast Eagles. But you just never know. And of course, next week, Hawthorn play the young team of Richmond Tigers at the MCG. That's going to be an absolute ring-a-ding-ding game. Of course, Richmond are young. They got belief. They're playing good brand of football, but I think Hawthorn might be a little bit too skillful. But it all kicks off round 8, folks, next Thursday evening, 7:30 p.m. Melbourne time, where we head to Marvel Stadium. Essendon will take on North Melbourne. Then we've got Friday night football, 7:40 p.m. Melbourne time. And the St Kilda take on the Fremantle Dockers. Again, we're playing at Marvel Stadium. Saturday, we've got some big games coming up Saturday. All these are going to be ring-a-ding-ding games. Saturday kicks off at 1:20 p.m. Mars Stadium in Ballarat. They're tracking out to the country, the Western Bulldogs. They're going to be playing Port Adelaide. Following that game, we've got another ripping game. Of course, at 4:15 p.m. Melbourne time over there at Adelaide Oval. We've got the Adelaide Crows looking to bounce back against Carlton. That should be a fantastic game. And, of course, have a listen to this game, folks. Saturday evening, 7:35 p.m. Melbourne time, we have Collingwood versus Geelong at the MCG. First versus 7th, that's going to be a cracking game also. And, of course, if you're a West Coast Eagles fan, you're playing 7:35 p.m. Melbourne time. West Coast are playing Melbourne over there at Optus Stadium in Perth. So that's where your next game is for the Eagles fans. And, of course, Sunday, we've got 3 games to round out round 8. And, of course, the Sydney Swans will take on the Giants at the SCG. You got the derby over there at 1:10 p.m. Melbourne time. That should be a fantastic game. And then we've got, as I said, Hawthorn playing Richmond, 3:20 p.m. Melbourne time. And, of course, the final game to wrap it up. This should be a fantastic game also, folks. If you're a Brisbane or a Gold Coast Sun supporters, that's right. It's the Brisbane Lions, a home game up there at the Gabba, taking on the Gold Coast Suns. That'll be a fascinating game. So we've got some great games coming ahead next week. Round 8, and it'll take us about a third of the way through the season, where the ladder's starting to take shape a little bit, but still plenty of teams in the hunt for positions in the top 8. But don't forget, folks, all kicks off next Thursday evening, round 8, 7:30 p.m. Melbourne time, where Essendon will take on North Melbourne. All right, folks, thanks everyone for coming in. But before I do that, I just want to have a look at the poll. We had that poll in today in the live chat. Who's going to win the game today? And, of course, 88% went for the Mighty Hawks. Well done, everyone. You got that one right. Super happy to see we got a poll right again. We're pretty cluey on the polls in the live chat. Got some smart cookies in here. But, yeah, it was a good game. It was a good game. Well done, Hawthorn. I tell you what, they'll be happy, but I think that they'll still, I'm sure Sam Mitchell will still have a few things there for them to process and just get a little bit better on to clean up their game a little bit in some areas. And the West Coast Eagles, well, they've got a tough season ahead, haven't they? Well, we didn't think it would be them. We thought it would be the Tigers, but it's definitely the West Coast Eagles. I think they're going to struggle to win a game, but hopefully they can at least get a win for the season. Should be interesting season ahead for them. But another great game, and I thank everyone for coming in. Caleb, yeah, look, I'd love to show the vision, but yeah, due to copyright, YouTube would shut the live down within 30 seconds. I tried that once and they shut it down, and I've never tried it again. So unfortunately, this is the best we can do for the good folks out there. All right, folks, that's all I got for this game. Well done to the Hawthorn fans out there. Thanks to all the football lovers who joined me in round 7 throughout all the games we covered this weekend. And of course, Anzac Day week of football. It was just a fantastic round. Of course, the Mighty Magpies getting up over the Bombers Anzac Day at the MCG. 92,044 people attended that game. It was just a ripper, like all the games were this weekend. All right, folks, that's all I've got for this one. Hey, we'll see you, don't forget, next Thursday. We'll catch you then, 7:30 p.m. Melbourne time, Essendon, North Melbourne. All right, folks. Thanks, everyone. And ciao for now. We'll see you at the next game.